1901 just refers to the date his grandfather was born.
Nice.
The wrapper in here is going to be Mexican San Andreas Maduro.
Look at that beauty.
That is top shelf. They were talking about the band.
That is a gorgeous band, yeah.
The binder is San Andreas Criollo and Nicaraguan. The filler is Nicaraguan Negro and then San Andreas Criollo. It's going to be about, that hour and a half smoke time. Really, it's 5.5 inch 50 ring gauge. So it's your average size cigar. We've had some 70 ring gauge cigars. I think 7-inch 70 ring gauge, which were just massive.
Yeah.
This is it does look like it's box press.
It does, yeah. I think it's going to be good because it definitely smells like mouse. It smells mousy.
It doesn't smell something terrible. As far as taste, through this first third, you're going to get cocoa, nuts, orange peel, and then when I was looking at this particular cigar, I was reading through this, and the way they wrote it made sense. Why the second third changes so much is you've heated up, right, all that tobacco leaf. Sure. So that's when you're starting to get the woodiness because the fire's been burning so long. And they said into the second third, you're going to start to get oak and cedar.
Okay.
And then right towards the end, right, the smoke is now, you're burning the smoke from the first third that's trapped in.
So it's worked its way through and now you're burning.
And once you hit the last third, you're going to change the profile altogether. And this is kind of across the board with all cigars, really. Then you're going to get into smoky, salty, jerky type flavor.
Jerky.
So, as you and I have talked about quite a bit, we with both the tasting notes of Scotch and the notes for cigars, we rarely ever get to these.
Well, I think the only one that we've ever had that I didn't have a noticeable difference by thirds was probably the Monte Cristo No. 2.
Yeah,
that one I think was the most consistent smoke throughout the whole thing. And
I guess that could be said about basically value in cigars. This cigar really is going to be. This is like a $10 cigar, $15 cigar.
This is a $10.
Yeah, they're not
in Canada or in the U.S.
That was probably in the U.S.
Okay,
that site that I was looking at. I think. Well, the big one. I think these come from Cedar Gems. Actually, yeah, I think
they probably do. Yeah, like $10 U.S. is like $48.
Yeah, so Canadian, we get hammered pretty good.
Yeah.
If there's anybody new, and you're not from Canada, in Canada we can't enjoy nice things. So
yeah, we got to have our turtlenecks on our cigars. We got to cover it up. The band covers. Mine actually stuck in the bag, which actually worked out really good. But olive drab cover, just to keep your tops on.
Yeah, just to make sure you're not enjoying anything.
Yeah.
But anyways, the bands are.
Most of the manufacturers are pretty good, and they just slide right off. Right?
Absolutely, but the band itself is arguably as impressive as the cigar.
Oh yeah, it's genuine artwork, right?
They are always top shelf.
So do you know what is Casa Torrent? Maybe you said this and I missed it because I was too busy having a good sniff. But what does Casa Torrent mean? I mean, Casa obviously is the house.
Yeah, well, that's their family name, right?
Oh, okay.
So they're Alejandro is the 5th generation tobacco grower.
Handmade since 1880. Is that what that says?
So
there's some history there. Oh yeah.
But well, these cigars, like I said, they really only around since the 1960s. So I'm not exactly sure. I'm not.
Yeah.
If that's maybe back, I should have looked, I guess. But once I got I wasn't looking for their tobacco history, more their cigar history, which seemed to be 1960s on.
Sure.
But to be 5th generation and have your grandfather born in 1901, there's 2 generations past him yet, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So that obviously is a testament to their tobacco growing history.
Yeah.
But so it's a Mexican cigar. Origin is Mexico, and like everything else, it's lots of Nicaraguan, lots of Maduro, all of this stuff. That's kind of par for the course. It doesn't really matter where the cigar is actually manufactured.
Mm-hmm.
It's a pull from everywhere. So
yeah,
but
that's interesting. And for whiskey tonight?
For whiskey,
we're gonna have to bring out the other glasses, eh?
Yeah.
one day.
Oh yeah.
So we, for the folks at home that don't know this, we went. Oh, how long ago was that? Was it 2 weeks ago, or was it last weekend?
It was last week.
Was it last weekend? We went to a Scotch
October
tasting.
1st.
Was October 1st.
So
yeah.
it's
It's
so
2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago. Went to a Scotch tasting in Grand Prairie, and I did a tally the next day. I had 19 different scotches. I'm not sure what you tried, but
Oh, I think as many.
yeah, it was a good show anyway. So we got lots of folks on. We got, Fred's on, Chad's on, Justin's on, NFV's on, Leo's on, Kristen's on. So awesome. Got a good crowd tonight.
Good start. There's a few on. What do we got? There's
We got
only
TikTok.
There's 3 or 4 on TikTok. It's
Yeah.
I've got a hi there from Hannah. Hi Hannah. If you're planning to stick around, anybody on there, like I said earlier, this all was driven towards YouTube when we started this. So
Yeah.
everything's down here for the comments. We got to lean forward to see them. That's just my phone stream.
Yeah,
in
if
there,
you see
so.
us staring down, that's what we're doing. We get the comments down below the table, actually. So,
But if
we don't have a studio manager.
no, not at this point.
So,
But if you're liking what you see, encourage you to go hop onto YouTube, find Smoke and Oak on YouTube, subscribe to that, and then watch on there.
yeah. So this evening for whiskey, we're gonna have the Macallan 12 double cask. It's 12-year-old, and it is matured exclusively in the perfect balance of hand-picked, sherry-seasoned American and European oak casks. Macallan actually has their own guy on staff, is a woods master, who specifically selects each piece of wood that goes into every barrel. It's kind of an interesting thing. So when we went to the Scotch tasting, we tried a lot of different scotches, and when we got to the table that had this, I don't know if you got the same spiel from that gentleman, but he's like, this stuff is like $240 a bottle. Not this one, but the one he had that night,
Mhm.
and was like, just give it a miss. It's not even worth your while. And I thought, well, this is the sales guy telling you this. I was a bit intrigued as to why that was, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, he was pretty open and transparent and said, well, they're just really good at marketing. So then, okay, well, I'd already bought this bottle, and then I felt like a bit of a dirtbag because I was like, well, I just spent, I think this was $140 a bottle. Like, this is not a cheap bottle of whiskey, right? I saw this and I thought it'd be really, really good. And then I started doing some digging on Macallan, and you find out, well, yeah, no, they're just really, really good marketing.
Okay.
So what's a $140 bottle of whiskey might actually drink like a $40 bottle of whiskey, but
Well,
nevertheless, we've had some really good $40 whiskey.
I was gonna say at this point, and you haven't counted them up yet, but
We haven't done a tally. No.
it's got to be 30 bottles up there, ranging from probably $40 bottles to $180 bottles. Well, you said that was 180.
This is 140.
140. So 40,
I
right?
think the most expensive one we have is that GlenDronach I picked up in Calgary.
Oh wow, okay,
Yeah, that's like, it might just taste like sherry, just pure sherry.
interesting.
Yeah.
And we from all over. We got some of the Dalmores and some of these. It's quite interesting.
Avalor and Jura. We tried Jura at the Scotch tasting. Got some Glenmorangie.
That Oban actually was more of an expensive bottle than I thought it was.
That was pretty spicy stuff too. We tried there. Right?
Yeah.
It was interesting.
It's amazing.
But yeah, Macallan. So all about Macallan. So the Macallan distillery is located on a 390-acre estate in the Highlands, near a place called Craigalackie. If you look at it how it's written, it doesn't look like Craigalackie, but that's how you pronounce it. The distillery was founded in 1824 by a guy named Alexander Reed, and they do claim to be one of the first legal distilleries in Speyside.
Okay.
But I mean, 1824, there's at least 24 of them that started, in around that range. So I think just about every one of the Speyside distilleries says, well, we were one of the first.
Mm-hmm.
But they kind of all started right around the same time. Now, Speyside has more distilleries than any other whiskey distilling region in the entirety of Scotland. In fact, they've got more distilleries in Speyside than the rest of Scotland combined. But Speyside itself is actually a sub-region of the Highlands, so that's kind of interesting, anyways. But yeah.
And so if you know the map of Scotland, you're going to look in it's basically, I guess it's not the Gulf, but it's up in the north,
in the Firth.
but it's to the west.
Yeah.
And then up in it's like a triangle shape there,
Mhm.
and then the highlands loop around it and go up
That's right.
through Inverness and right to the top.
Yeah.
It's almost like they chopped that out because it was special,
That's right. That's exactly.
and obviously it is.
Well, the water, and that's one thing that's unique about Macallan too, is they have a spring that comes up right underneath the distillery, and they have their own water source, and they're not just pulling out of the River Spey or out of a brook or something like that, right? So, kind of interesting. They have the smallest stills in all the Speyside. It's only 500-liter stills.
Wow.
And they only use 16% of the spirit that comes off of those stills to bottle as a single malt. The rest of it actually goes for Scotch blends. Now, prior to the 1980s, the Macallan was almost exclusively distilled for blended Scotches. So we've got a couple of them. I think like is Isla Journey. I've got some Johnny Walker. Those are blends, right? They might have 40 or sometimes 50 different malts in them, and Macallan would have been one of those. Right?
Okay.
Back in the day. So in the late 1980s, Macallan, they just decided to switch it up, and now they're going to market themselves as a single malt. They do have a very, very good marketing team. They market themselves as the elite whiskey, and so this $140 a bottle is like entry level, pretty much, right?
Okay.
I did see some today. I was looking online. Was 20,000 pounds per liter. So but what is that? $45,000 a bottle, right? For a 30-year. Now the other stuff that I found with Macallan too is that they say like the 10s, the 12s, the 15s, the younger years haven't really matured as well as some of maybe other distilleries have, because they have the smaller stills, and then the age expression really isn't an example of what's a good whiskey, right? Because it's all about surface contact,
Mhm.
right? So how much still surface you touch with the copper versus how much contact you get with the butt or the cask, right? And so, anyways, it's interesting that most of the guys who drink Macallan say don't waste your time with anything less than a 21 year.
Okay.
They make it 21, they make it 25, they make it 30, 32 year, but those are getting into the thousands per bottle, right? So this one's supposed to be, like fruitcake, dried apricots, and then nutmeg. So, I mean, I'm pretty keen. I like fruitcake. It's a good time.
Mhm.
So, but it is expected to be a short finish on the palate and maybe seem a bit watery.
Okay.
So we shall see.
We shall see.
Yeah.
We missed a few up here already, all dressed up to just smoke a cigar and drink. Yeah, absolutely. So, Brian, yeah. So, how many's on there now? There's a few on there. I'll do it again. The Gentleman Farmer and I, we did independent lives for a while on each channel, and then there was enough people that were interested in it and stayed watching, so we set up a channel called Smoke and Oak. So over on YouTube, if you go over there and you check it out, you can watch the same live, and everything's set up down here. We can see your comments a lot better. Stan has his computer going. We do this, and so we pick a topic, we pick a cigar, we pick a scotch. 2 hours, sometimes as long as 3 hours.
Sometimes it's 3.
You come in, you pop around, leave some comments. If you're on YouTube and you leave a comment, you'll be entered into Win or Draw. We give away a cup every live, either a coffee mug or a whiskey glass, sublimated with our Smoke and Oak logo. We also just started. This is the second time we've done TikTok Live.
That's right. Yeah.
We're doing it off of my TikTok account because our Smoke and Oak account only has
it's brand new, right?
We only set that up 3 weeks ago or something like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, look for this logo. I think you can find it through either the Gentleman Farmer's TikTok or my TikTok. It will take you to the Smoke and Oak one.
Yep.
And same with on YouTube. The Gentleman Farmer has a YouTube channel. Mine is Millionaire Farmer. We'd appreciate it if you subscribe to those as well. But Smoke and Oak is on YouTube, and that's kind of where these lives started.
That's what we're doing.
And we're going to, throughout the winter, we'll probably pick up the frequency of the lives. We slowed down over the summer, but that's to be said.
Well, obviously, Millionaire Farmer, Gentleman Farmer, what are we doing? We're a little bit busy in the summertime, right? So
double malt, Jurabeer. This is a double cask.
This is a single malt double cask. Yeah.
Good evening, gent. What's on the test tonight? That's Joe. That's Kootenai Salary. That's another TikTok to check
Yeah,
out.
check that guy out. He's making some really cool stuff.
Phenomenal. Artistic like you wouldn't believe. That's amazing.
Yeah.
So good to see you, Joe. All you, everybody on TikTok, good to see you. Like I say, check us out on YouTube. It's easier for us to follow on YouTube because everything's right here.
Yeah. So
But we appreciate you on TikTok too. And if we get to 1,000 TikTok on our Smoking Oak, then we'll go live on that
She's
as well.
live all day
We'll
long.
set up another thing for that as well.
Yeah, exactly.
But
You'll see me at the grocery store just living as we go.
just live and right?
Or at a liquor
Absolutely.
store,
For sure.
trying new whiskeys. But
And yeah, back to dressing up. Sorry, Brian. That's part of it.
that's our gig. Yeah.
So this is we're in Stan's study here, and this kind of all came about last winter.
Yeah, last
Just
winter.
out of the blue.
Well, yeah, early this year, right? It was February,
I think it was, yeah.
something like that. Needed something to do.
Stan was had a new baby on the way, so I thought what better thing to do than give him a
The
humidor to
Yeah.
season.
Yeah.
So that was like a 2-week process that he had to do, and and then after that, everything got built around here.
You can't really have a humidor in a
No.
in a
Well,
tractor.
yeah,
store,
it's more you can't really like. There's you said there was 100. This is 150 cigar box, and it's full.
It's full. Yeah.
We
There's
got-
room for maybe like 3 more.
So and you can't have these kind of cigars sitting out. Good to be here. I'll switch over to YouTube here shortly. Oh yeah, no problem, Joe. We're gonna leave the live running too. I just
Yeah, it's all good. It's just
if you stay on TikTok, you can be the moderator.
There you go.
Send people over to YouTube if
That's
you can, and then because the only way to be entered into these draws is to do it on YouTube. I don't know how to go back and look at comments on
I
TikTok,
don't
or
know.
even if you can.
Once the live is gone on TikTok, I'm like, what happened?
And that's what we do. We go back. We don't give the cup away on the live. We'll go back. We'll
Next
pull
morning or
everybody's
whatever.
thing, and then we'll put out another YouTube short or something.
There's like a 15-second video where they spin the wheel and whoever the lucky winner is, right? So,
You betcha.
but yeah. So speaking of YouTube, we've got a lot of new folks dialing in. Tamara Station's on. Mark Mortenson's on from Oregon. So Chad says he uses his coffee cup every morning. The logo on it's holding up very well. So that's we weren't sure how sublimation was going to do. But
Yeah, apparently
that's awesome.
they won't come out.
Justin says, how's the night going? Well, fantastic so far. And Chad says, congratulations to Stan on being a TikTok celebrity. Yeah, so if nobody knows that story, I said on TikTok that I had a tiny penis, and it went crazy. And then the next day I said, something reasonable, and almost got banned on TikTok. So it humbles you. But
It was amazing.
yeah.
It was amazing. Good for you. That's awesome.
But you probably want to,
We're gonna take that. We're
you
gonna
might
take
as well.
We're gonna take
They have a unique cork. Once you crack it, like the seal's broken, like it pops down. It's different. I've never seen one like that before.
We're learning something new every day.
Oh, I better.
Also, I don't know if they're planning to do this Scotch tasting again next year. This was a second annual one. There was some ladies there, but boys, mark it down. That was a good time.
That was a good time.
That was a really good time. So
I wasn't really sure what to expect. I mean, I maybe had some perceptions of what that was going to entail. The bagpiper, of course, was kind of given.
well, for you it was.
But what I wasn't expecting was, for them just to kind of line up and then just say, "Have at her, boys!"
Yeah,
and we all just
yeah.
run, like you just literally run across the room with your whiskey glass. And
Effectively, it was a buffet.
it was a
style
buffet style whiskey.
with a lot of, and it was a lot
There was
of
some
talking over, and Stan and I both are. I mean, we've shown a really big interest into Scotch, history of
Yeah.
Scotch and cigars. It would have been nice to. I don't know. They did tell you a lot. It was a lot of sales, and
I learned.
I know
I wasn't ready for that. I learned a few things, but I also found there's a few opportunities where, the salespeople were the salespeople. They weren't necessarily brand representatives.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't expecting to go there and speak to somebody about whiskeys that we already have in the collection and,
Mhm.
and know more about the whiskey than them. But anyways, it was a good night. There was finger snacks.
there was finger snacks.
Yeah.
We did it right. We were picked up on the farm,
Yeah.
and we were dropped off at the farm.
Chauffeured, yeah.
So
What was that lady driving?
that was you drive. I drive. Why drive?
Why drive?
Why
That's
drive.
what it was. Yeah. Why
I
drive?
drive. We kept calling it you drive because it looked like a you.
Yeah.
Great driving service out of Grand Prairie. I was very happy with that to be picked up, dropped off. So
Good value to get home safe at the end of the night. right?
absolutely,
So
nothing's worth it. So So what are you getting here? Spice?
I'm
Definitely
getting
spice.
I'm getting off the nose. I'm definitely getting the dried apricots, but it's a bit
I was gonna say apple,
it's
but
a
it may
bit
be
it's a bit
apricot.
volatile, perhaps. What's the ABV on this stuff?
It's got a
40%, so not terribly.
but it's got a
Not terribly
kerosene
high.
type.
Actually, one of the reviews I read on this was interesting because I always go to the Whiskey Exchange and just kind of gauge the crowd to see, and then maybe from my own perception, am I in the middle? Am I off on my own, or where am I going with this? But one gentleman said that he took a first sip and his whole chest just exploded with fire. So, the first sip for me was a little bit, I wouldn't quite call it violent, but it was more than I expected. So let's have another crack at it here. I think it's because I didn't swirl. I just went right to swallow, and I should never do that.
No. There
swirl and then swallow.
There is a way to drink scotch, especially the first couple tastes. Once you're down to your first 2-finger pour or whatever, it doesn't really matter much after that. But off the start, it actually just occurred to me, Jer Bear here, he's a farmer from out in Ontario, so I did a live with him there the other day, and
I saw that while you were disking.
Yeah, while I was disking.
Yeah,
so
that was so
really
cool.
good chat with Jer Bear. He's still out there, he's still harvesting. I don't know.
I wonder how the weather's holding up out that
Well,
country.
it rained there the other day, but so I was watching his TikToks. Anybody looking for another farmer to watch? He's got some cool stuff in there. Paul's cars, pretty cool.
I'll have to give him a follow.
Pretty cool
That's
stuff.
awesome. So yeah, pepper that runs down the sides of the tongue, but it is short on the palate. Like I feel like it's just.
It is. It's in and gone.
With spice, and then now it's like it's clean, and it's just like my palate is ready for another one.
Well, I'm going to trim this off, and I'm going to do a draw check. It's supposed to be a very clear draw with this, and I'm not sure why. I didn't read that. This is a cool story too. Anybody don't know why we have this? You said this was good to 80.
I think it's 80 ring gauge. Yeah.
So. This is a 50 ring gauge cigar. These are reasonable cigars. This is kind of where you're shooting around 46 to 50.
I think this one's good for a 60.
And we bought 70 ring gauges. So if you see how loose that fits in there,
like a hot dog in
a hallway. We barely got those 70s cut, and those were like 2.5 hour smoke time.
Yeah,
they were good cigars.
Yeah, we were about as green as that ashtray when we were down.
But
so, how much do you think to take off?
I took off what?
Just the tip.
Just the tip.
Okay, I'm gonna trust you here. These have been in the humidor for a couple weeks, so that cut's nice and clean.
That is one thing we did notice. Both Stan and I, when we started this, we weren't drinkers and we weren't cigar smokers. So we've learned everything as we went. The one thing we did notice was these got to be in a humidor for a while.
Yeah, they have to acclimate.
When we got our box of Monte Cristo right from Cuba, we did 2 the first live after we got that box.
Yeah.
And we didn't do another 2.
No, we haven't.
But it wasn't what they said it was going to be.
They burn hot, right? They burn quick and
fast and hot. And I think that's been a month and a half now since those showed up.
Probably maybe even a little bit longer. Actually.
So Stan's been doing a good job keeping this right at 70.
70, 69 and a half right now.
So we're excited for that. Also, maybe this winter we'll do some alcohol infusing.
Okay.
Might do some infusing.
Okay, not Father, Son, Holy Spirit.
No, we're not going to do that.
They might not approve of our.
But that's an easy draw. So
yeah.
Fire it up.
Let's get her toasted. Mark said only had scotch one time and didn't care for it. Never had it since. Well, I feel like we have to have this conversation quite often. But if we look in the back at all the different bottles, I don't think we've got 2 bottles that taste the same. I really don't. And so if you've tried one scotch, you haven't tried another.
No.
And I would say too, I joked earlier about a $40 scotch, but there's a lot of really good $40 scotches out there. I think once you get over the $140 mark, you're probably just paying for the label, so to speak, or maybe paying for the years on the label. But yeah, you start to get under that $40. You start to get things like Famous Grouse. You know, you're gonna get still bottoms, right? There's a lot of blended whiskeys you can get for less than $40 that are really not very good, right? So,
But
they're still technically Scotch, but
we've got a great range from what there's 6 regions of Scotland that produce Scotch. We've got, I think, whiskey from all of them. Quite different in their composition and in their taste, but really nothing that's been too bad. The Highland, I think, had that single review that was probably the harshest review, and I mean, even that was a good Scotch. So that Cutter reminds me of a girl I used to date. Yeah, that's why you guys got to follow Joe. That guy is funny. Who are you drinking with? So I don't know if you're talking to me or, well, I guess so this is the Gentleman Farmer.
Good evening.
And he's on TikTok as well under the Gentleman Farmer 1.
Yeah, if you search the Gentleman Farmer, it's only going to take you so many places.
He's also on YouTube as a Gentleman Farmer.
Look for the mustache. You can't go wrong.
And then then the Smoke and Oak is just a kind of
side gig,
I guess.
A joint venture.
A joint venture.
Perhaps. This is actually a mighty fine cigar.
This is a really good cigar, yeah. So
I like it.
You got company.
Smooth. That's actually my neighbor across the road.
Oh.
He's got a big Dodge diesel, lift kit, 8-foot box. Can do.
Did he see your TikTok?
Can do all the things with it. Probably not. I never even thought about my neighbors. I never even thought. Yeah, no, that's causing trouble in the neighborhood about that for sure. I used to exclusively own Dodges until, I mean, there's only so much you can spend in the shop, right? And then your pride just, outruns your wallet. So
right off right off the bat, we should have got cocoa. You should have got orange peel. You should have got various nuts.
Who's asking how much one of these cigars cost a piece?
How much would one these? So I guess depending on where you are, if you're up in Canada, you are generally, I would say, you're not going to find anything less than about $16. These probably ring right around the $24.
Yeah, your average is probably 24, 25.
Especially when you start to get into like what people would think of more traditional cigar, which is basically 5 to 6 inch length and
50 ring gauge,
somewhere around 50.
Yeah.
Within ring gauges go up in increments of 2. So if you're around that, say 44 to 54 ring gauge, that's a reasonable cigar. These are 50. So
yeah, like no,
that's not bad.
That smoke's really nice. I like that.
Where would I understand? What? Where W? I buy.
So where can you buy in Canada? So you can, quick Google search, find a tobacconist in your area. I know when we started looking, if you start looking for a tobacconist, you might just take it to some vape shops.
That's where you're going. You're going straight to the pot shop.
So you need to be careful with that. You need to specifically search out somewhere that sells cigars. So we have a couple places in Grand Prairie. We have Cedar Gems, which we get most of our stuff from there.
Mm-hmm.
Really good little shop. Al's News is another one. They got quite a vast selection. Plus, there's lots of other stuff in the store.
That's a cool store.
And then if you're really hard up for a cigar and you don't care about humidity at all, you could go to Sheffield and Sons, which is, it's a news agents, but they sell candy and newspapers and cigars and smokes but they have a humidor. It's really just a closet on the wall, and it's not, they're not really well kept, right? So.
But yeah, that is a good cigar right off the bat.
Yeah, that's good. Mark said the whiskey he tried was about 35 years ago, and he has no idea what brand. So, well, you know what? If you do have a Scotch drinking friend, ask him perhaps to reintroduce you. But it can be a dangerous path. I know one thing. We took the Scotch tasting there the other week, and there was some in there that would literally rot your guts out right away, and some that would they taste like a dirty old dumpster fire.
Mm-hmm.
Some of them taste like citrus degreaser. And then there's a whole bunch of stuff in the middle that's a combination thereof that's actually quite good.
Well, I mean, that Dalmore arguably tastes more. I would say more towards even wine than it does to a hard
Just,
Scotch, like something like Lafroig or something that is really heavy peat.
Well, see, Lafroig is a kind of a benchmark for peat, but I'd never tried Ardbeg before until the Scotch tasting, and I wasn't ready for that. I like that was legitimately a tire fire. I was shocked. Like,
And that's what you were going for. That's
And
what you
that's-
wanted.
I
gotta do that.
let's open the gates, because it was, you see it everywhere, right? Every whiskey reviewer on the planet has a bottle of that sitting in the back, and maybe they've had one drink out of it and it's just sat there forever. But yeah, no, that was a lot. It was, if that was your first, you would undoubtedly be like, never again, right?
Yeah. But the one drink out of it, that's not too unrealistic. There's two drinking here every night, and we've never finished a bottle.
Yeah, no, we generally go to the halfway mark and call it a night, and we've never revisited any old friends, so maybe.
No, I think maybe that Glenfiddich is one we tried in twice.
That
also
I think
is
we
a
did,
liter.
actually,
That's like a 1.5 liter
in the
or
early
something.
days, because that's like a 60.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
A liter and a half of whiskey, like Costco bottle of whiskey.
it was, yeah.
Yeah.
I think it was on sale.
Yeah. Oh well. So
Funny too, before we went down the Scotch Road, there was some rums up there that they're still there.
We do
still
need to
got the
have
wrapper on.
we do need to have a rum night too, but I'm not much of a rum neat kind of guy. I like to have a little splash of something in there just to help it down,
And
right?
that's the thing. After all these scotches, I just no interest in revisiting the Diet Coke and rum.
No.
It's not a
Yeah.
thing. So, as far as conversation, though, what were we at tonight? We had a toss up. We had a flip coin.
Yeah. So conspiracy theories was one. What was the other one again? I don't
We,
remember even.
Basically, prep for winter and how we
Oh
cope.
yeah. The Northern Alberta perspective, eh?
And the conspiracy theory one, I kind of thought it would. It took off like right out of the gate. Bam, vote after vote after vote. Let's do that one. And then, we got busy and the falls drug out, so we didn't do one. And then they caught up.
Yeah.
So they were 50-50, and we just decided that there's still no snow on the ground.
That's
So
weird, eh?
why talk about how we cope with the winter? We may as well talk about conspiracies.
Might as well talk about climate change or
Climate change, well, right, something that's we're really experiencing.
Yeah, it's legit. So, well, I mean, I got one. I think we should open the gate. This one's just for fun, just because it's personal, but I think it's legit. Could be a thing, and I say it's a conspiracy theory because, well, number one, I don't want GM to sue me, because that would suck, and I don't want OnStar to sue me either. But have you have GM vehicles?
No,
You have all Fords.
all
don't you?
Fords,
All
yeah.
Fords. So we've got 2 GM vehicles now. And I swear that GM is in cahoots with OnStar. And of course they are, but I mean, in like nefarious ways. I think that OnStar monitors the external temperature of your vehicle. That when it almost hits the frost line and you start thinking about hitting command start, the GM then sends a fault code to your vehicle and says, "Fuck you, your command start's not going to work. Come to the shop, and we're gonna bill you. What it was shop right now, $135 an hour to reset this code, and then you'll be good for the rest of the winter." So this happened to me about a month ago. We got frost. We got -3 that one day. Immediately, fault code. I'm just like, God damn, really? And I don't have time to go to the shop. I just don't. Not for something so stupid as check engine light. Because I know there's nothing wrong with it. It's probably an O2 sensor or something in the exhaust system, right? Well, lo and behold, 3 days later, light goes out. I'm like, well, thank goodness I didn't take that thing to the shop. Well, here yesterday, it cooled off again. And what does it do? Check engine light comes on halfway through the day. So this morning, when it's cold, like it's probably 2 degrees outside. It's not cold, but it's like, you want to warm up the vehicle a little bit before you put the kids in, kind of thing. No, command start doesn't work. Got to go out there and manually start it like a peasant, right? Like, Like, what the hell? So that's my opening conspiracy theory. I think so.
You think they're out to get you?
I think they are. I think they're out to get my
overstand.
$135. And
Well, that's.
Yeah.
I mean, they've said that before, that a lot of this stuff is manufactured to fail within 5 to 7 years.
for sure,
So
for sure.
I mean, we've noticed that with paint. I mean, you look at a vehicle that's 5 to 7 years old now, and it's
The
usually
paint's
rusted.
just falling off.
But yet again, we got that old 1971 International truck, and even where it's been crashed into,
This is the yellow one.
yeah, the paint didn't even crack there.
Yeah,
Right. I mean,
this is flexible.
and yet my wife's the car she had before this, they replaced the whole hood. It just felt
Oh,
like
really?
just the paint just fell off of it.
Well, my wife had a Pontiac Torrent. That's what it was. Her and her sister both had it, and same thing. Paint would fall off of them. The muffler would just like disintegrate and fall off, and they'd be like, "Oh, you guys live on the gravel road."
Yeah.
We're like, so. Like, it doesn't mean that the exhaust should just disintegrate. Like,
Well, that's exactly it.
and
right?
those mufflers are like $400 a piece, right? So
That's what the guy told me when we went to
Yeah.
trade it in. He said, "Well, you look at all the chips on the hood, right?" And this was after they had just replaced these. You guys drive on gravel roads much?
well, you live right off the highway.
And I was thinking, like, I've got more rocks and stuff on the highway than I've ever gotten on the gravel road.
Yeah.
And yeah,
Well,
this
he's
is
living a dead end gravel
this is a
road,
peace
so
country, man. Like, everything's gravel.
Yeah.
The highways are gravel with all the mud and
there's
shit
all
on
the
them.
rock chips and everything all
So,
over. Yeah.
but I mean, don't give me that. I go, it's not good.
So Mark says they say the sun is going to put us in the dark ages within 15 years, and leaves a question mark behind. So yeah, there's some talk about that solar activity is going to basically cook all the microchips, and like basically like an EMP, right?
Okay.
And so everything we have now, even all of these YouTube videos,
Well,
all of our
better
TikToks,
Got to get 15 years in.
you better get a scribe in there trying to take some notes, because all the stuff could just all the servers could be done and gone. And can you imagine, like, even we just got off of vehicles, but like, my wife's new vehicle has 7 computers on board. Like, it's like a fucking airplane. So that you have a little aurora borealis at 3 o'clock in the morning, that prick won't start. So
Well, I find it quite shocking. Even driving in the tractor, like, that's supposed to go up a straight line and back down a straight line, and there's times in the day where it'll just fucking gone, like right off, where it goes wherever it wants for
there's
10,
like
20
an
minutes.
asteroid goes between you and the satellite, and it just
And
pops
then-
right off.
Yeah, and then 45 minutes later, boom, it finds out where it was supposed to be again.
Yeah, wild day.
So I mean, they got a long ways to go before they ever convince me to sit in the back row of a self-driving bus. I want to be
Well,
close to the wheel.
self-driving buses, but who like Galen Weston?
The
What does he own?
Sobeys or the
Is it Sobeys? And it's like
Safeway or Sobeys or one of them. Yeah.
Superstore. That's what it is. He's got a contract now to run completely autonomous
Mhm.
delivery trucks for his grocery stores. I think it's in Ontario.
Yeah, I seen
Yeah.
there was one driving
Yeah.
around.
So that's
So
wild.
if you're Ontario, look out for that.
Look the fuck out. There's canned hams coming your way.
Make sure you got your head up on
Yeah.
the swivel when you're at the stoplight.
Yeah. So Justin says he loves Scotch. Justin, did you come to the Scotch tasting? I didn't see him there. I don't know. But if you didn't, we'd love to have you tag along with us next year.
Absolutely, yeah. I strongly encourage anybody. I really thought there would have been more people there just because coming out of COVID, right? Even if you're a Scotch drinker.
Well, I guess
it
the
was
night before, like the wine was
tasting.
huge, right? And I couldn't imagine, like, we went in the lineups. I thought that was a little bit frustrating.
It was.
They had more room. They could have spaced it a little bit better. But they said, like, the wine tasting, there's people there, like 40 people deep, just trying to get a glass of wine.
Yeah.
And for 3 hours, like, that was the other thing I thought. Well, 3 hours it went by really quick.
It really did.
I think they should have gone like 6 to 10 or 7 to 11 or something. Like, just give it an extra hour.
Mhm.
You know?
I agree.
But I mean, they probably don't go that long because they know it can get messy, right? There was a couple of guys that were like,
I think, there was a few guys that for sure had made the round at least once or twice before. I mean, we actually didn't even make the whole round.
no, there was a couple. Well, I mean, like I said, I only tried 19.
we did miss a few, and I mean it was kind of
I'm not
unfortunate.
burning very clean here.
I know the draw got really hard.
They're tight, yeah.
I don't know if they cut enough off or what. Anyways, it didn't say it was going to do that, but
Well,
it did.
I'm going to relight. If it doesn't loosen up, then I'm going to have to take the tip a little further here.
And what else do we got? We got chemtrails. That was a good. That's one that interests me. Chemtrails. And of course, I mean, keep the comments coming with your opinions on this or whatever. This is not. This is not.
This is pretty open forum.
Yeah, this is safe space here. So there's no judgment here. So where we live, if you ever download that flight tracker app, we are like a major crossroads.
It's busy.
It doesn't matter where they're coming from. I found it interesting. Everything coming out of the mid, like basically United Arab Emirates, Qatar Air, all this stuff that flies right down the Alberta BC border. Goes from Dubai to LAX. So all those planes that are flying directly down the border, like where those are those planes. We got a tremendous amount coming from Seattle. These big warehouses, UPS, FedEx warehouses going from the lower 48 up to Alaska. So there's, I mean,
there you go.
Easy enough to say you're going to see 10, 15 planes some days flying
For sure.
overhead. And a trail of shit behind them. And the odd one with nothing.
Yeah.
So you're like,
So what's that all
you're
about?
like, all right, well, or then it just starts halfway. So
You
I
gotta wonder if that's an elevation change,
well, it seems to be. They say around 30,000 feet.
because I could see, like, okay, well, if I'm flying and maybe there's nothing coming off my plane, or maybe there is something coming off my plane, and I'm going to run into turbulence and I change my elevation, then in theory, what's coming off the tailboard should change,
Absolutely.
right? Because the humidity changes, the temperature changes, everything changes, right?
Well, I mean, it kind of makes sense from a condensation view. When I climb up to my grain bins, and I mean, I had done even a YouTube video on this. You start to blow air through 28-degree temperature grain out to 0 degrees. As soon as it hits the metal, it turns to water. Well, I don't know what the internal temperature of a jet engine is. It's got to be fairly hot. So there must be a significant amount of condensation. So
I would think those jets got to be running at 700-800 degrees.
And that's that's the play on it, right? From chemtrail to contrail. They're called condensation trails.
But this wasn't even a thing. Like in the 80s, this was never even talked about. There was actually a report that came out in, I think it was 1996, from the U.S. Air Force, talking about the ability that they would have to spray some type of chemicals over the population.
Okay.
And then once it's out there, I mean, once it's published, you can never take it back.
Absolutely.
It's like dropping an F-bomb on the internet. Like if you're a politician, like it's out there and that's going to haunt you forever. And I think that's honestly with the chemtrail side of thing, that's what happened is they said we could do this, and then suddenly it was like, oh, I think you're going to do this. Agent Orange or whatever. I don't know if you've heard about Agent Orange back in the Vietnam War.
In Vietnam, yes.
They gave everybody in Southeast Asia, gave them all cancer, right?
Yeah.
Like birth defects and all kinds of stuff, right? So, yeah, the U.S. government doesn't have a really good rapport for, not turning on their own citizens, right?
Yeah, well, and yeah, that's just it. I mean, some of this stuff, these ideas are better left unsaid. Like, but when I got looking into it too, right? It's this one in particular of the the 5 or 6 conspiracy theories that I looked at seem to be such an open-ended thing. So what's the end game with the chemtrail? Is it cloud seeding to change the weather? Is it some sort of genetic mutation to change the population, to control the population? Is it some sort of herbicide, pesticide, insecticide to kill the crops? Is it like what's and there's always all these channels. So you get the chemtrails, and then some people believe it's cloud seeding to change the weather. Drought and rain. Some people believe it's to destroy the crop. Some people believe it's to change your DNA. So it's interesting to look which one has the most steam, and obviously with the invention of the internet, it gets out to everybody and whoever jumps on these wagons. But it is truly amazing to see how one thing, right, chemtrail, just branched off into
Yeah,
like
like
it's like
It was massive.
it just means everything.
Yeah.
It could mean anything.
Yeah.
There's what's ever coming out behind those planes could go do anything from make your plants grow to turn us into the next ice age or
Yeah.
turn you into
Could
a
be
mutant.
Could be everything. Yeah. Well, the report in '96 actually, the U.S. Air Force put out. That was one of the things that they proposed. There was I forget the name of the project they were working on, but it was supposed to come to fruition in 2025. It was basically global warfare via control of the weather.
Okay.
So you could essentially, like you say, cause drought in a nation, and end up with them being poverty stricken or famine stricken, I guess, or vice versa. You could make them all flood and wash out their infrastructure and impact them that way, right? So whether or not it's real or not, or we have that capability, I don't know. But I know, like in when was Area 51? When was Roswell? Was that 47 or 48? 1948. Anyways, there was the talk about the weather balloon, right? It was a weather balloon, and then they found out, like, well, it wasn't that long ago. That was all bullshit. It was a balloon, but it went up, and it was actually a listening device. They were listening for the Russian nuclear bombs going off.
Okay.
To see what the global impact was going to be, and trying to measure the strength of their artillery. So, yeah, all those people stormed Area 51, and then all of a sudden we all got COVID. So, stay the fuck out of Area 51. They'll hit us with something else.
That's another one. I didn't even make the list. Even just what we just talked about it now, but. So what's people's views on chemtrails? Just throw them up there.
Yeah.
If you're on TikTok, if you're on YouTube, what do you think?
We missed a few here. So, Tambora Station says conspiracy theory query: is the world flat or round? Let's get that one solved. We'll have to come back to that one. Yeah. Chad says he'd sooner choke on a scotch instead of sipping a wine. When it's beer tasting time, I'll be there. And if he says beer tasting would definitely be a good one. I think they do have an Oktoberfest in Grand Prairie. Hey.
Yeah, I just can't imagine that being very good.
It's got to be. I mean, it must have already happened, or be next week, because I mean it's October.
It is. Yeah, I never.
I think we probably missed that.
My ear isn't to the ground on that stuff.
I'm not a big beer drinker.
I
get bloated so bad.
I just can't imagine it would be just pounding several. Yeah, I don't know. Fun to go to, I guess.
You'd have to train for that one.
I think so. Yeah.
So. And then Mark says to see some big governments are doing some, but that many people are seeing normal trails. So Chad's sipping on a Lucky.
Oh, lucky guy.
Back in my rigging days, flat Lucky Lager for $26.
Lucky guy. That's actually a good beer.
It is actually good beer for the price point.
Yeah, it is.
It is. Yep. Do we miss anything on the old TikTok?
I don't think so. If you're on TikTok, yeah, feel free to jump in, leave some comments. If you're on TikTok watching, as I said before, this is really geared to YouTube, unfortunately, at this time. And so check us out on YouTube, Smoke and Oak. If you jump over there, leave some comments, and you'll be entered to win
the draw.
Either a coffee cup or a whiskey glass, supplemented Smoke and Oak logo on there. That's the logo you want to look for when you're on YouTube. And yeah, follow Smoke and Oak on TikTok as well.
I don't know if there is any others. There's nothing else Smoke and Oak on YouTube, is there? I think we're the only ones.
There was who's that? Hey guys from Red Deer. Hey from Red Deer. Probably just missed it, but
who's this? Chase McKee. Did we read that right?
Yeah, I can't.
Sorry, the camera's so far away.
It's very far away.
Yeah. Well, good evening. Thank you for joining us.
Absolutely. We just got done chemtrails. What do you think about chemtrails? If you're on TikTok, is that a thing? If so, what are they for? Because I certainly see a lot of them flying over my head every day. So I'd like to know.
Yeah, we got a lot of
one way or the other. I don't know what I can do about it.
Well, it was I think it was Sam Hoffer actually started that conversation. He actually commented on a few of my YouTube videos. He's like, "See that chemtrail, in the back or whatever?" Because same thing, 50 planes a day fly over. Or whatever, right? There's always something red.
There always is, yeah.
And then I'm like, "Well, shit! Like, what's back there?" So. Puts a guy on edge, right?
It does, and that's the thing with all of this stuff. If you're a firm believer, if you're a firm denier in any of these conspiracy theories, that's really irrelevant. It's the fact that there's a lot of stuff going on, and in every lie there's a certain element of truth.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, there's
you know,
always something
like
going
the
on
truth is out there. Like what's happening? You know, was it just the fact that the internet came about and social media came about that all this stuff really gained legs, or are people really having real life experiences?
Well, I mean, I guess you have to think about what was the conspiracies before 1990, before the real like.
That's like before me.
I mean, I know the internet was obviously in existence before 1990, but it wasn't wholesale. It wasn't mainstream. It wasn't in everybody's home until really the 90s.
No, I think I don't know if there was much for them, and even before that. I mean, there was secret societies have always been a big one.
Sure. Yeah. The Freemasons.
That's always been big,
Yeah.
right? Since
Yeah. But there's also, I mean, so after the dawn of the internet, these things kind of start to grow some legs. Mid 2000s, social media kind of kicks off, and then fuck, there's no stopping this stuff, right? Like,
yeah,
it just goes like fire. Like,
it does, it really does. And then when you have things like, I mean, so here's another one, right? Election results, rigged elections. Are these?
what do you think about that? Do you think that's true or not?
I don't. I guess if I had to answer the question, I would say I don't. I think it probably is. Probably that's what happened. Like, I mean,
I think it's totally rigged.
You do?
I think, well, in the U.S., I think almost every election is like predetermined. I really do. And that all kind of stems from like 9/11. I think like that's.
I mean, I could follow you on that, but my point would be to what end? Like, what benefit did they get about electing the dipshit that's in there now?
Scapegoat. Total scapegoat. The rest can milk the cow. They can milk that cow dry, while they have a scapegoat sitting up front who can't even string together a sentence.
No, he really
You
can't.
know, can barely stand up.
Right?
He's out there sniffing children.
He was so proud of his two words, "Made in America."
Yeah.
I mean, the guy's a total joke. I mean, ours isn't a whole bunch better.
Oh, no, ours.
But so I mean, like, to what end? So this would this, you know, argument or would obviously tend back to some sort of secret society.
Yeah, well, if you go down to like downtown New York right now, 6 days a week, there's a guy standing out there that said Bush did 9/11.
Yeah.
Right. I don't think Bush did. You know, I think with certainty the U.S. had more to do with 9/11 than the folks in Iraq had to do with 9/11. But I don't think. But I think Bush was like, honestly, I think the guy's like coloring book incompetent.
Yeah. Well,
You know, he's out there reading picture books to kids in the kindergarten while there's planes getting flown into the World Trade Center and potentially the Pentagon, whether you believe that was a plane or not. But yeah, I don't think he's smart enough to get there. But do I think Dick Cheney is smart enough to get there? Do I think Hillary Clinton's smart enough to get there? Sure, I really do. Right? And what better means and method of population control has there ever been in the history of mankind?
Yeah,
like in our lifetimes, anyways.
That's just it.
Since
right?
9/11, like anybody's born after 2001 doesn't understand what the world was like. Like when they say the world stood still and the world changed forever, like I mean, all we used to have to do was take our shoes off at the airport.
Yeah.
And that was just because some dickhead had some shit in the shoe. But other than that, like it was away you go. Right?
Uh-huh.
Now, like you can't even do anything in the States. Like
no.
Fuck. Like it's crazy.
Yeah.
So yeah, I 100% believe that the U.S. government had something to do with 9/11, but not at the presidential level. I think it was at the vice president, and I think she was like the secretary or something or whatever she was. I can't remember what Hillary Clinton was, but yeah, like they took over the government for a while. Those two,
yeah,
they had the bunker, and Bush was somewhere flying around, still reading coloring books or whatever he was doing.
Yeah, exactly. Eating crayons.
And then they coordinate all of this stuff. And then as soon as Texas Georgia gets let out of the plane, what does he want to do? Yeet yeet, let's go to war. And it was the perfect preface for starting, an energy war in the Middle East.
Yeah.
They've got weapons of mass destruction. We're going to go in and we're going to take them out. Well, where were they?
They're still looking. I think,
They didn't exist. They didn't exist. What baffles me is they plow those planes into the two towers. They plow those planes in there, and before they knew who was on those planes, they knew who was flying those planes, and they knew everything about them. They knew where they went to pilot training.
Yeah,
They knew the whole stuff. It just seemed really convenient. There was a backstory, so that's why, like you talk about, like how easy it is to create these conspiracy theories and how easy it is to continue to nurture them and for them to, because it's like the government just seems like it's so convenient that it's just got all its like fingers in there and doing everything. And I don't trust them one bit.
That's all fair enough. And yeah, I mean, I agree with a lot of that. It is hard to argue at this point that a lot of this stuff isn't happening by design, especially in the last 3-4 years, right? Certainly since COVID. When you start to look at global supply chain crumbling, and you and I were talking earlier about fertilizer and stuff.
Global supply
what's
chain.
That clicking noise? Stan's firing up
the cigar.
Firing up his cigar. So Wes Smith says they made sure it changed forever. Yeah, absolutely. That's what we're talking about tonight. So there's a few more on here. Wes Smith, a couple of the others. If you missed it. We live stream on YouTube. We just started this TikTok thing. But if you go on YouTube, Smoking Oak, there's a whole comment thing going on there right now. We can read those better. The phone's not so far away. He's got it right here. And then if you leave us some comments on YouTube on our Smoking Oak live comments, you'll be entered in to win a Smoking Oak coffee cup or a Smoking Oak whiskey glass. We do these live streams. We'll probably do them a little more regular throughout the winter, but they are a really good time. If you're on TikTok, new to this, check out Smoking Oak. We also have a very new TikTok handle that's Smoking Oak, so follow that too. If we can get to 1,000 subscribers on that, we'll probably end up doing. We'll probably end up leaving them both.
We can do all kinds of lives, yeah.
So yeah, but back to what you're saying. I
know you're skeptical, but
I was talking to this one guy, far right guy. Of course, in my little business, I meet a lot of people from all sides, far left, far right, and I love having conversations with them. I consider myself definitely centrist, definitely open to all of this stuff. And this one guy was like, "Oh yeah, I know all these people, and none of them voted for Biden. None of them. It was made up. And my wife had actually just got back from North Carolina. And I because this was going on before she went.
Sure.
So when she went, I said, ask everybody. She was going to a retreat. Yeah. And I said, because it's funny that
just gauge the room.
That people are weird about this. They're like, well, you would ask someone that question. Yeah, I'm like a fucking person.
Yeah,
that's how we
like asking someone their social insurance number.
That's how they don't have to answer, but they certainly don't have to just get fucking mad and walk away either. Like they'd probably just be like, yeah, that's my business, and okay, then leave it alone.
Sure.
But so she did. Yeah. She didn't meet one person that voted for Trump in North Carolina at a retreat. They all voted for Biden. So now that's a very small sample size, right? I'm not gauging my whole philosophy on this around this.
But is that indicative of the demographic within North Carolina?
Well,
or is that indicative of the demographic at that retreat?
Well,
because that makes you a certain type of person.
Very, very true. I think all the women's spouses were obviously Democratic families as well. That generally is how it goes. It's not always, but generally how it goes.
Sure.
Also, we've talked about this a few times. So you look at the West Coast, you look at the East Coast, you look at our little thin red line in Canada where like 80% of the population lives below this line.
Yeah.
So these people make the decisions for us.
Yeah.
So when you go into Oklahoma, where I work down there, you're very, very seldom going to find a Democratic voter. You're also going to find a very, very small population.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, these people make the decisions for the rest of us.
That's right.
However, it wouldn't. So I guess what I'm saying is it wouldn't be hard for me to believe that enough people on the East and West Coast. I don't know what the population of California is. It's huge.
It'd be huge. Yeah.
But 300 and some million people in the United States.
But it's always Florida. Like Florida always ends up with, we need to recount the votes in Florida.
Yeah,
That's always the shit show.
I don't understand that either because from what I understood, and I mean, excuse my ignorance on this, I thought that was, a fairly Republican safe state, but maybe it's not. So yeah, I guess that's why. I guess I mean, Jesus Christ, I'll admit I don't even really vote. I voted like twice. I think the system is stupid. I think it's inefficient. I think it's dumb. Do I subscribe to the people? Well, if you don't vote, you can't complain. I'm a George Carlin guy.
Yeah.
Fuck that. I didn't vote, so I can complain. I didn't elect any of these fucking idiots. I want them all gone. I think that's all a sham. I think party politics is dead. I don't understand why our House of Commons is still based on the European Parliament.
Yeah.
Fucking, we're Canada here, and it's 2022. If you want to run for government, you shouldn't have a political party behind you. You should run on your principles, and then the people in your constituency, in your area, in your riding, they can elect the person that they morally align with.
Yeah.
And you can send whatever, there's 200 and some seats in Ottawa. You send 231 independents down there, and they fucking make good decisions for the country.
Make good decisions for the
Because a
country.
conservative in Northern Alberta has very different needs than a conservative in the fucking heart of Toronto.
Well, and you find that too, is that the individual MLA, whether it's an MLA or an MP, depending on what level of government it's at, is going to serve the needs of the party before they serve the needs of their constituents.
Absolutely.
That's really,
Absolutely.
really disheartening. It's really, really disheartening. But the one thing, and you see it more so, I think, in the States than you do in Canada, but it's definitely gaining ground in Canada in the last 2 to 3 years, is we've got to put people in boxes, right? You're either liberal or conservative,
Very much so.
right? And I'm similar to yourself. Like I'm a centrist, but I would say I'm right of center. But if I have a conversation with a liberal, they would like a true red liberal, they would think I'm an absolute right-wing extreme monster because I believe in responsible gun ownership.
Well, that's that graph. You've seen the graph, right?
Yeah.
The left has moved that bar so far. We used to be centrists.
Yeah.
They moved that bar, and we stayed here. We used to be centrist. The left has moved the bar, so now all the centers are extreme right.
Everything's extreme.
I don't want to be extreme right. I
No.
don't want at all.
No, but then if you talk to like anybody that would be considered a true right-handed conservative as a centrist, you might as well just tell them you're a liberal.
Absolutely.
Because I mean you're not even on the same chart.
No.
Sometimes, right? And that's really disheartening because I think like centrists are trying to find compromise. They're trying to work together and try and do the right thing for the largest proportion of people, but they have no voice because you got to sit in one camp or the other camp. You got to be A or B.
Exactly.
Or sit in a box.
So apathy builds.
Apathy builds, and then nobody does anything, and they don't go to vote, and you stay silent, and then you just get really far over here, and you get really far over here, and then all of a sudden you end up with 50,000 people downtown Ottawa.
Exactly.
Like, turns into a shit show.
I'll be flipping back and forth. Yeah, Justin, Justin should be a mod on that. I don't know.
So we missed some comments here. I gotta scroll up here.
Justin, I'll grab my phone and set Justin up as a mod. That way, Justin, you can, if you don't mind, then you can tell people about Smoke and Oak, so I don't have to do it every
And
time.
if he says if he wasn't on call, it'd be a Pilsner or an AGD. What's an AGD?
American Genuine Draft.
American Genuine Draft. Oh,
How do I
that
make
makes sense?
Do you remember how to make people mods?
On TikTok?
Yeah.
No,
Justin knows how.
I'm a newbie.
Settings.
Chad says he's more worried about the
Mod.
waste they release from the bathrooms out of them planes. Yeah, it's Space Peanuts.
Justin is a
Anybody
mod.
watch Joe Dirt?
Space Peanuts. Justin already is a mod. I forgot this isn't set up to Smoke and Oak. This is still on my.
Oh yeah.
Justin.
He says Canadian election system is rigged from the start. When the election is done, before half the country's votes are counted, it's rigged.
What do they call that?
Well, like first past the post or whatever.
It's one of those nonsensical things. But yeah, you're absolutely right.
Most definitely Canada needs electoral reform, but our ridings, our boundaries for our ridings are definitely skewed as well, right? So.
I'm already a mod. I don't know. Drank too much. Oh, Justin's having a few drinks. Good.
Oh, good.
And Cool Train doesn't know. Cool Train. That's a cool guy actually.
He's from like
He's
close by here.
Byzantin, I believe.
Okay.
Yeah, he's getting his last year of high school, so he's getting set up to.
Is it Cool Train or Coal Train?
I don't know. I call him Cool Train. Could be Cool Train. He used to be user number, and that was it. So we had to change that. But
Speaking of Coltrane, Robbie Coltrane died today. From Harry Potter, Hagrid, and Harry Potter.
never fucking.
There's a
watched-
show you've
never
never watched.
watched a second of that either.
No way.
Not 1 second of it. Not one. But
I know him because he was a great British actor. Fuck, that shit burns. He was a great British actor from the 80s and 90s when I grew up, right? Before Harry Potter was ever a thing. He had already achieved greatness. So I remember him from those days. But
Interesting.
yeah, if you come to North America and you hear Robbie Coltrane, I mean, the only way you're going to know who he is pretty much through Harry Potter, right? So, okay, comments. We're missing a whole bunch here. Black poplars in my area look like they were sprayed this year. Was it the same up in your area? Because yeah, we actually did have the power line company, and they were gracious enough to call me and said, "Can we just come in there and kill all your poplars and your spruce tree? Just kill everything along the lines?" And I was just like, "No, I'm 100% organic. You come near my shit like that, you're gonna get sued." Which I'm not necessarily 100% organic, but I don't want them to kill my windbreak because
I'm a problem starter. That's
Right.
what I am. I'm a shit starter.
I'm just gonna start shit. Yeah. So they actually come in with a crew and they trimmed what they had to and mulched it, and then I got to use all the arborist chips for my garden. It actually was a win-win, and no pesticides. But you could definitely, the guy up north here, Jason Wade, they come in and they sprayed a whole bunch of stuff and it all died, and then they went in and clear cut, and then so he's suing TELUS right now for $100,000
Really?
for clear cutting trees on his own, like on his property, not even in the right of way. So he's choked, right? Like 30, 40-year-old trees, right? Gone.
That's right on the range road there.
Yeah, just up the road here.
I noticed when I come by, I say, I'm like, fuck.
Yeah,
That's a wide swath.
it's
for the
real
power
wide.
line.
Yeah. So that's what happened there. So
Wow.
I don't know what's going on with the comments here. It won't just go down by itself here. Let me get off of there. AGD is Alberta genuine draft.
No, we're not
Interesting.
big beer drinkers, I guess.
Well, I'm gonna have to look that. I'm gonna have to try it because it's Alberta. So
yeah, well, I know what he's talking about now.
Yeah.
I've seen. If you would have said what's AGD, I would have said it's like yellow and black bottle, but no, it's the red and whatever can or whatever. So
Mhm.
I know what he's talking about now.
So Wes is on. Wes Smith come over from TikTok to YouTube. So welcome, Wes. He said most people are libertarians when it comes right down to it. So libertarians is something that I don't think it has a huge foothold in Canada. It's more of a U.S. thing, and it's something that I got to admit I really don't understand.
Yeah, I don't.
I mean, I think, is that like the Maverick Party? Is that what that would be close to?
Well, no, what does the Maverick
Or
Party want?
Or the
I don't.
PPC maybe?
No, I don't. I think they all still want to have a government, right? But libertarians, I don't think they want a government at all.
Oh, because that's where the Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, for like more
Right, just-
personal sovereignty.
Yeah, just like leave us alone. We can run ourselves. But
Yeah.
you know, that's obviously, you know, this we don't live in utopia, right? We live in dystopia.
Yeah, we 100%.
So
do. Yeah.
and unfortunately, right? I mean, you see that all the time when you wake up in the morning and you go to start your fucking truck and the fucking thing's gone, right? I mean, this is where this doesn't work.
Yeah.
Because you know they say, you know, the strong inherit the earth. Well, no, it's not always that case. It's fucking assholes will win if there's no rule of law or rules or government or anything.
There has to be some system of accountability.
And
Can't
you know,
just be anarchy.
unfortunately, that wouldn't work. But yeah, as far as I have a lot of, I would say, libertarian viewpoints. Right, I don't think the government really needs to be involved too terribly much in farm direct sales. I don't understand why I can't buy a liter of milk from my neighbor if they want to sell it. I think the government should be totally out of that. I don't think the government should exist at all to legislate, to regulate that at all.
Well, yes and no. I mean, you mentioned earlier pre-camera time about, you know, certain people shouldn't be allowed to do certain things.
I did.
Like certain people shouldn't be allowed to own land because they're fuck ups right from the get.
I guess what I should have said is the government should exist to be reactionary.
But there's also some people that shouldn't own livestock.
That's very true.
And sometimes those people that shouldn't own livestock have owned livestock, and they've sold raw milk with shit in it or piss in it, and they've given people some pretty serious batches of E. coli.
And yeah,
and they become a burden to the healthcare system.
I should retract and say yes. The government should exist to be reactionary, but not this knee jerk.
Not to regulatory.
Not to have this knee jerk reaction that blankets the industry right across and says no. You know, we seen one guy prod a pig, so no one can own pigs.
Yeah, no, it shouldn't be like that.
That's just not good. And I go around and around annually now that we're inspected by the government with the CFI ladies. They're very nice. The inspectors are very nice, but we always end up having quite a long discussion about that. It's not in people's best interests, if their heart is in this, to make their customers sick.
No, it's not.
Very much
not.
myself. It's not in my best interest to send out a bunch of bad feed and to make a bunch of livestock. That's not a good way to get repeat customers.
Yeah, and I don't think any producer ever gets into it with malicious intent. But some people are careless.
And absolutely, there's a whole different line of principles and that goes back to whatever. I mean, it could just come back to even the way you were raised. It doesn't matter what you were exposed
It
to.
only takes one person to break it for everybody.
And what some guy finds repulsive, the other guy doesn't mind it at all.
Yeah.
And so you do need, and I think that's probably what the government needs to exist to create some sort of field like this is what we accept from here to here. Anything else we don't accept.
Yeah.
But we end up with blanket policies. The dairy cartel in itself could be a conspiracy.
And that's probably exactly the milk mafia runs the show, and they also run the regulations, and they run right down to the individual producer level, and they got a really tight grasp on that. But I mean, myself, raised on dairy, straight out of the vat, never pasteurized. Never. Well, I shouldn't say never once had the shits, but I get the shits from a taco after.
Absolutely, and that's not really regulated.
So yeah, street vendors aren't exactly. Well, I mean, maybe they are regulated, but not as strictly, right? So
I had gotten farm fresh milk maybe 3-4 years ago from a person, and they they gave it up. They said, it's just we've looked into this. This is not worth it. Not losing my farm over this.
Yeah.
So they stopped altogether. But that's when I started to, right? I mean, I'm 34. I'm a young guy. So I started asking my mom. I said, well, what's the scoop here? Like, when did all this change? And her idea around the whole thing, she said actually, what we used to think that pasteurizing took any value out of the milk.
It does. It
Like it got rid of everything. And she said, you're starting to see lactose intolerance. You're starting to see all these medical issues around dairy, and that didn't really exist, I guess, or maybe it wasn't diagnosed in her time.
Well, that's why they started introducing probiotics back into the yogurt, because we were selling pasteurized milk, and then nobody had any gut bacteria.
Well, and but one thing that interests me, like she was sick when I was born. I ended up 6 weeks away from her right at birth. So she said, yeah, you were brought up on farm fresh milk. Like,
there you go.
Just because she was sick and had her issues. So. But definitely, it's not. So you'll see that division too. Would be like, oh, I had farm fresh milk and I died. Someone will say that, and you're like, well, fuck, I don't know. Like, yeah. I don't. Like, did you? Or maybe it was something else. Or so there's too much of that going around. And
well, there is a lot of unsubstantiated bullshit that's out there on the internet too. If that's what you mean, right?
Mm-hmm. Like, well, and then it drives this, right? You get people that they're so, I love reading through comment sections of TikTok, of YouTube shorts, of YouTube videos or whatever. There is a tremendous amount of the population that lives in total fucking fear. Total fear. And it really shocks me because, man, I'm scared of some things, right? I mean, I'd like a few more years on this earth before we go into total fucking nuclear annihilation. But as far as not leaving my house for fear of protests or crime or fucking virus or there is a huge amount of the population that are absolutely terrified, and they'll soak this right up. You tell them milk is bad, they'll never fucking look at a cow again. And they want all the cows off the earth.
The cow's got to be
gone.
Yeah,
we can't have this. So
actually, speaking of TikTok and cows, and you ever watch a guy named Jock McQueen?
Jock McQueen, he's from. Can we sit closer to each other? That's Jesse. Yes, we certainly can. Justin will tell you about our YouTube.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I'll just tell you real quick. Unfortunately, we have a Smoke and Oak TikTok, and if we get to 1,000 subscribers, we will live stream on TikTok as well. But we're only really geared up on YouTube. So if you go onto YouTube and look for Smoke and Oak, it's this emblem that you want to look for. You can join in the comments there. That's where Stan's got his computer right here. We follow along a lot better. We can't even really see my phone. It's way out there. And then the other cool thing, if you're on YouTube and you jump into the comments, join the discussion, you'll be entered in at the end of the night for either a whiskey glass or a coffee cup. We give one away at the end or after every live stream. Yeah. So, but Justin can tell you more about that too.
Yeah, TikTok's just another hook in the water, I guess.
It is, yeah.
So on TikTok, I see there's a few folks up there. Well, Justin's he's got like a red rocket ship after his name. What does that mean?
I don't know.
No, it doesn't matter. Anyways, milk. That's milk. Kick the shit out of milk. I never really we kind of went on a segue away from 9/11, but
I gave Justin one job and he fucked it right up. Smoking an oak. Justin get it, but he said he was having a scotch tonight too. So
that's some fucking gay shit right there.
Justin, do better. Do better.
Yeah.
So we banged that one out
Smoke
too.
and oak.
Smoke and oak. I think
Yeah.
they can see the cup. It's
Yeah,
sitting
it's,
there.
I mean, it's right there.
So
It's right there in front of everybody. But yeah, so 9/11. Why do I think it's an inside job? Well, A, Bush is completely incompetent, but the other one is Operation Northwoods. You know what Operation Northwoods was?
that was that their training thing?
Operation Northwoods was a 1960s. They had a
Oh.
false flag operation where they had actually planned to do this, where they were basically in the middle of the Cuban Missile Crisis, right? So there was a plan by the U.S. government. They were going to actually bomb strategic locations in the United States, killing their own citizens. They were going to bomb U.S. shipping. And then they actually had like 200 people lined up. They were going to get on a plane. They were going to fly from, I forget where they were going to fly from. They were going to fly to Elgin Air Force Base, which is just off the coast of Florida. And then at Elgin Air Force Base, they were going to have another plane take off. Like this plane was going to land and the other one was going to take off. It was an unmanned plane. Same markings, same everything. All these people had aliases. And they were going to fly right past Cuban airspace and they were going to detonate a bomb and blow that fucking thing out of the water.
Really?
Or out of the air, sorry. And that was going to be the preface to starting the actual, like, let's go to war with Cuba.
The Cuban War. Wow.
Right. But Cuba, I mean, if you've ever been to Cuba, like, there's fuck all there. Like, but really, there's nothing there, right? What's the advantage? What's the economic advantage to taking over Cuba? Not a hell of a lot, right?
Pretty nice spot to build some vacation homes.
Nice spot to build a vacation, but not a huge economic advantage.
No,
right?
right, yeah.
Really, it was just because there was a threat there. But they were willing, because they knew right after, of course, Vietnam and all that stuff, that going to war with some shitty little third world country was not going to be super popular. Wasting a bunch of U.S. money and military lives was not going to be really popular. How could they unite the population around this? Was to kill a whole bunch of U.S. citizens and fuck up a bunch of infrastructure and damage the economy.
Wow.
What did 9/11 do?
Yeah,
It did all of that, right?
about
So
all
that's
that.
why, truth or not truth, the fact is that when you actually have something in the chute ready to go, that's the playbook, almost identical. The only difference really is the skin color of the people that were driving the plane. It's really hard to believe it.
Yeah, well, I'll definitely give you that. I'll give you all of that. But they said too, right? There was the Lusitania that shot him into World War One. Pearl Harbor shot him into World War Two. I forget exactly what it was that brought him into the Vietnam War, but there was a lot of provocation. They said like they didn't just end up there. There was a lot of provocation on the part of the government to get into these things. Like these plans were there. So
Yeah.
To say their hands are totally clean, it would be probably just a flat out false statement. And but I guess to what end?
Pearl
Right?
Harbor.
To what end?
Pearl Harbor. I mean, they knew that Pearl Harbor was coming. They had warning. They literally had the ability to go out there and nip it in the bud, and they ignored it, which in and of itself seems super fishy. And then it just launched them into, okay, well, was it Heisenberg? Who was the guy that created the atom bomb?
Well, 4 of them, yeah, the what's the Manhattan Project, right?
It was the Manhattan Project, yeah.
There was a bunch of the smart guys.
There's a bunch of them
scientists.
anyway. So of course those guys like really like borderline go behind the bunker and shoot themselves in the face after. They felt like terrible after that. Like that was all the research and the work they did to just destroy human lives.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen the video of the pilot that actually dropped that bomb?
Nope.
Yeah. They asked him how he felt after dropping that bomb, and he's just Jim Dandy, just like the greatest thing ever. Like, so I don't know. It just seemed a little bit unrealistic to me. So
Yeah, I don't know. Takes all kinds, I guess.
band is off.
The band is off.
Band is off.
I had to find myself some water before I go for my second dram.
What do we have for time here now? Now almost an hour and a half. I kind of screwed up on here. The first 5 minutes, the YouTube world didn't get it because I clicked go live, but I didn't actually go live.
Oh, okay.
So they would have, this crowd on YouTube would have missed a little bit, but everything went to TikTok. But
Absolutely.
so
What are we going into next? We're going into what we got. We got fertilizer to talk about, and I gotta plug my phone in because that just popped up. Let me do that real quick. I should have done that first. We're not
well,
very
maybe we
smart.
should talk about crickets. I don't know. What do you think about crickets?
Crickets. Yeah, that I don't exactly know. I think that's a Canadian invention, believe it or not.
You don't see too much of that anywhere else.
No,
You definitely see it here in Canada.
So London, Ontario, I believe, the world's largest cricket protein production plant.
They just received a how many $1 million grant to build another? Was it $267 million to build a new facility?
Is that enough or whatever? Probably enough.
Oh yeah, you're good there.
So apparently there was some low off the cuff remark made by I think it was a board member, said, "Get ready to eat crickets." Well,
they are very nutritious.
Apparently they are, with the moral integrity of most of our elected officials and those running. So it's not just the elected; it's those hoping to be elected that really pollute the atmosphere with just fucking nonsense that isn't. It's not needed. It's not helpful.
Yeah, it's not helpful.
And so we had a bunch of far right, extreme. I guess maybe extreme, far right that were.
Well, anytime you're purposely telling mistruths, I think that's extreme.
I guess so. So these people were hoping to be elected. They were running various parties, far right parties, and just right wing parties. And they perpetuated this, tweeted it out, all the forms of social media that you can imagine. They Instagrammed it, and all of YouTube did, TikTok it out and out, really driving fear, really driving division off of some lowbrow, thoughtless tweet that originally, I believe it came from a board director.
Sure.
So it was all cleared up. I believe the president came over and said, "Look, 10% of our protein goes for human consumption."
Yeah.
Which to me was kind of shocking that
that
really any went. But when you start to look at where what cricket protein and certainly other parts of insects go to, it's really not that revolting.
There is actually a large market for cricket protein in the gym and fitness industry, like protein powders.
Mm-hmm.
You know that. I mean, it says very clearly, it's very clearly labeled. This is crickets. Like it doesn't. It's not like you're just getting whey powder and it's got 50% crickets in it. Like,
well, and when you would have seen this too, probably the President's Choice, I believe, juices on the shelf or whatever. There's some beetle insect whatever that actually I think makes the color.
Yeah, that's
helps
right.
in the coloring.
Yeah.
So I don't ever profess to be a really intelligent individual, but I knew that.
Yeah,
I knew a lot of that. There's a lot of inks and stuff that are made from various parts of animals, and that's how we function on the globe.
You can buy coffee beans, and they're really expensive. I think they're like $2,500 a kilo. You can buy these coffee beans. They've been eaten by a chinchilla and shit out, and then you grind them up and you.
Right. This does happen. You go to certain parts of the world, or you read about certain parts of the world. Their whole cuisine would make a Westerner gag.
Oh, you turn green in the face.
They just
to think about
it. It's just a whole different thing.
Yeah.
You go into you'll go to branding day in southern Alberta. You're probably going to end up with a mouthful of balls.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, you would.
People are so to me, this I guess what would be the scary side is the force behind it, right?
Yeah.
We're going to make you do this. We're going to eliminate agriculture. We're going to have factory farm cricket protein bars, and that's what you're going to live on.
Yeah.
That's the scary, but just the fact that they're building it, Jesus, I think that's great.
Well, I think
why not?
But it's the rhetoric, right? It's the opposite side of the political agenda that says that they're going to force you to eat these bugs. And well, even if it was filet mignon, and somebody said the government's going to force you to only eat filet mignon every day for the rest of your life, somebody would be like,
"Yeah, not me,
not me. You can't make me, right?" Despite the fact that would probably be really, really good. But, nobody likes being told what to do.
No,
that's the long and short of it, right? So it's quite easy to manipulate the public. I will have one, please. Thank you.
Splash. Well, this is a really, really good scotch.
I would say, yeah, no, I would say I'd have to agree with the initial reviews. It doesn't necessarily drink like a really expensive Scotch.
No,
But what I thought was strange, there's literally no linger.
that's true.
Like once it rolls off the back of your tongue, it's gone.
That
Like
is very true. That is
There's a very very short finish to it.
probably the most noticeable thing about
Where
it.
lots of them, they leave you with the fruit cake and the spices and that stays for a while, and you can just kind of roll your tongue off the roof of your mouth, but not with this one.
But yeah, I would think, at you said 140. Well, price point is probably $40 more. And lots of our 12 years and even some of our 15 years are 80 to
Yeah.
110 to $120 a bottle. And I mean, they're equally as good. But
For
that
sure.
is definitely a good Scotch.
Well, so that was one thing, and I don't think I mentioned it earlier too. When we went to the Scotch tasting, the gentleman said there, if you've had Macallan, if you've had any Macallan, you've had them all. So when they come up with a new expression, the only thing that changes is basically the years. Lots of the different techniques that they use makes very very subtle changes to the whiskey. Is what I've read. So, whereas I found like the Dalmore, the original Dalmore versus the cigar malt,
Yeah,
they're two very different whiskeys.
very much.
Right.
They are. Yeah, I don't think there's any more that are even from the same distillery, is there?
We have
Just the
Glenmorangie.
Dalmore.
We have Glenmorangie. One is an Elgin Classic, and the other one is a
Oh yeah, we do. Okay, that's
what's
just
the
all
other
over.
one over here? It's a Elgin Heritage, so slightly different.
But we haven't had both of them yet. I don't think.
We haven't had this one back here yet. No. I'm into the approximate final third, and I'm really struggling to keep this thing lit. I don't know if it's because we're talking and I'm not paying it the attention it deserves. Flavor is good though, still nice and mild. Getting a bit of leather, a little bit of wood.
Yeah, I was going to just say you can, and that's what they said. Right? The longer it's burnt, now you're actually starting to burn smoked tobacco, and then you're going to start to get the more bark.
Yeah. But I have noticed that even though I had to recut the tip, but the draw throughout the cigar has progressively got tighter as we've gone. I don't know what yours.
So it did for sure. I
Yeah.
think I'm on my third light, and but I think I might have cut off a little bit more than you did right off the start.
So what do we miss for comments here? Chad says, use taxpayer money default alternative to our meat industry. Thank you, liberals, freaking morons. Well, we'll have to see where it goes. I mean, I don't know. I'm a threat to national security when it comes to that because I can grow some pretty wicked potatoes. So I don't think I'll be going to the grocery store anytime soon. Fred says he prefers his protein to come from animals with feathers and fur, 100%. Chad says, I'm not too worried about it competing with meat because icky. More frustrated how we toss money out steady to crap like our government doesn't have bills to pay like the rest of us.
Yeah,
Yeah, no, that's a very valid point.
it's getting a little raw, right?
Yeah.
Just to be effectively a walking cash machine for stupidity.
Yeah, you have to wonder why we're giving any money to anything.
Especially when
We're perpetually in debt.
nonsense like we can give 30, 40, 50 millions and millions to any group or any country, but yet when the East Coast is decimated by weather, they gotta crowdfund themselves, and we might match it.
Fuck, I'm gonna need a first aid kit.
You think you slice yourself?
I just nipped the old finger.
Gross. Well, I guess you'll have to die.
Yeah, we'll spit on it. Call it good.
So I got 170 gallons of potatoes. Yeah, Justin had a big haul. We dug all our spuds. We didn't get 170 gallons, but we got enough. Some weird looking ones.
I don't know what gallon. Yeah. What do you measure? Like in pails? Is that
Oh, 45-gallon drum.
45-gallon drum? I guess. Yeah. I never thought to do that. I do it by weight typically, right?
Okay.
We've got 4 rows left to come out, so
Well, I think we got all ours dug.
potatoes we're looking spectacular this year. Carrots were they were a loss.
Yeah, we didn't do.
We had a
so
few,
bad either.
you know, good to pull one out and munch on kind of thing.
Yeah, the kids liked them. They ate
But,
them all summer long.
last year was the winner for carrots. But when you rotate the garden, you got to expect different results. So
Tomatoes were a win. I mean, outside the greenhouse and inside, we're still getting green tomatoes in the greenhouse. Or sorry, red.
Yeah.
I was actually looking for a furnace to put in there, some sort of oil burning furnace or something.
we got a little wood stove actually, but it's just tiny.
Okay.
And then that looked like me going out there twice a night to put wood in there, and I was like,
Yeah.
No.
Well, I'm going to. I don't forget what our greenhouse is. It's something like 20 by 40 or something.
yeah, he's using pails, so yeah, that makes sense.
So it's gonna be. It would take a bit too, but I was gonna make a big barrel stove or whatever because.
Yeah. Well, you're pretty handy with the welder, anyways, right? So,
Yeah, I mean, we'll figure something out. And fuck. Well, we basically always touch on food security, no matter what topic we seem to be in. And you know what? I was reading an article today. They said, "Fuck, be ready for 100% jump on your utilities, right? Heating and gas or power
I
gas."
believe that,
So fuck. So I think $250 doesn't even get you a grocery card anymore.
no, $250 get you a couple bags.
So we're
We can't even get the bags anymore.
no,
You gotta bring your own.
we're looking more into certainly more into more a subsistence style lifestyle where you at least you don't need to fill the cart when you go to the grocery store. You can maybe fill your hand basket, and that's good enough.
Yeah, well, potatoes, like I said, we had a really good year for potatoes. Most of them are like, average size, but we had some that were like one potato feed the whole family kind of thing.
Oh, okay.
So,
That's good.
big honkers, right? So, and they're not hollow on the inside, so that's good. They're good spuds.
Yeah, ours weren't all blistered up either. Last year they were all
Get a little bit of
blistered.
scab.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know if she got the whatever calcium right, the balance rate, whatever, something's right.
Yeah.
But since we're into food production, I guess we may as well talk about fertilizer, right? That's a big
Yeah, I
one.
mean that's a natural segue into it, right? So,
And that's
who knows better than anybody about fertilizer than you?
that's kind of I guess that sits right on the fence. That's actually not so much a conspiracy theory. That's in the works.
That's actually actively unfolding.
The governments are saying like this is what we're planning to do.
It came back 2 years ago. It was a legit conspiracy theory.
Yeah, what's that? The Netherlands or whatever? Where
Netherlands,
they're actually
95% they want to cut.
and by doing that, I read again a few days ago, between 300 and 600 farms are going to put into a forced sale within the next few years. So the farmers will be forced to sell their land back to the government to meet these fertilizer reductions. Of course, so that's. I mean, that article in itself, to me, because I don't think a government actually came out and said that. I think that's, that was some professor's idea of this is how we would get there. Sure. So this would be, so they say, oh, well, this could possibly happen. So I guess that's where you start to go down these conspiracy theory roads. So I had wrote a little bit down here on that, and it was because I thought about this quite a bit today. Unfortunately, there's been so much, basically in the last 5 years, we'll say, of the woke culture, not just on social issues, but also into food production. And as a young farmer coming into it, at 34 years, I'm already tired of hearing it, and I don't fucking care to feed the world anymore. That whole, farmers feed the world, I don't give a fuck.
No.
I don't care. I don't care how many people starve if they want to be fucking ignorant.
They want to be ignorant.
I'm into it at this point to ensure my own food security, the food security of my family, and being an introvert, my small circle, right, of people that I know, and we can work that out. So the fertilizer reduction would be impactful, absolutely, but I wouldn't care. That would mean I can grow less, but I would still grow more than I need. So someone else will get less. I don't fucking care. It's not even my fight.
Yeah, your Jake is the same.
I'm getting the same amount. The people that I know, the people that I converse with, that I socialize with, they're gonna have enough as well.
Yeah.
As for the rest of the, I don't give a fuck anymore. I don't care. My interest, my heart is not in it anymore to feed the world. I don't give a shit.
Well, it really is. It is thankless, especially from the woke side of it, because everybody complains that the farmers are so rich. and not only are they so rich, but they're so rich in their efforts to poison everybody,
Absolutely.
right? Like, and I don't think there's any producer out there that has the intent of doing it.
I was talking to someone the other day about this, and they agreed. People think, like, oh, you shouldn't be putting all this shit into your animals. Does the urban population actually believe it? This stuff is expensive. These shots are expensive. Vet bills are expensive. We do this as little as we can, but we want to keep these things alive because of humanity, first of all, and second of all, that's our bread and butter. It's literally how we make a living. Same with our crops.
Yeah,
it cost me $76 an hour just to disc the field, just in fuel.
Yeah,
that's fucking that. And so if you start,
and you're how many hours? You just spent like days and days and days disking.
Right? I was at it for a long time. You're getting maybe 18 acres an hour, depending on field speed.
Yeah,
it takes a long time. You're looking 10 hours a field, $760 a field.
Yeah,
maybe more, maybe less, depending on. Then you got breakdowns into that. So we're doing the best we can, and nobody likes to just haul fertilizer fucking and just blow it on the ground for fun. Turn the ground white, see how white we can get it. Nobody likes to do that.
No.
What we are trying to do, and we're doing it without government intervention, is grow the best yield that our land can provide with the least amount of input. That's really what people are doing.
Yeah.
So, and I had written this down because it was an argument I had with somebody else. And there was an Oxford professor came out and he said, if we switch to a fully plant-based diet, we could use something like 40% less of the land on the planet. So, and everybody, and this is why I hate this, and this is where a lot of people get that, they roll their eyes, oh, you don't believe in the facts. Well, what the fuck are the facts? So what, the only place they could have got facts are from things like Stats Canada and USDA. You know where they get their numbers is they ask fucking farmers. And you know what we tell them? I mean, I'll admit, I tell them the best to my knowledge of what I'm going to do. So when they phone me in March, what are your spring plans? I tell them. Yeah. And it was funny because this year, that was 100% wrong.
Yeah.
We got that, 6 inches of snow on like the 20th of fucking May?
Yeah.
Put us out of the field for another 4 days.
Everything changed.
Or whenever it was, and it went right out the fucking window.
Yeah.
It wasn't that I lied to them. I told them what my plan was in March. So when they come up with these bizarre numbers, so they'll go to Iowa and they say, oh, fuck, you can grow soybeans, you can 80 bushel an acre this year.
Yeah.
They don't take into effect that that set the benchmark of history. That has never happened before. And then the rest of the country was droughted out.
That's right.
So you're fucking, and we're seeing that now. I read yesterday or the day before, the world is closest than they've been in something like 4 decades to actual grain shortage on the planet.
Oh, I believe
there is no grain in storage.
Yeah. No.
The yields did not come off like they thought. And TikTok, YouTube, these are great platforms to actually get and converse and interact with real farmers telling the real truth. Yeah. And then, because I don't give a shit. I don't feel bad if my barley goes 10. It wasn't my fucking fault.
Not some bureaucrat that's spewing statistics that are either outdated or irrelevant, right?
Right, and exactly. They're outdated, they're irrelevant. I mean, I know some farmers just outright lie. They're tired of Stats Canada, they're tired of the USDA. They know that every ounce of information they give them is fucking detrimental in return.
Yeah.
Right? The minute you tell them you got a good crop, the fucking price goes in the toilet.
Yeah.
So why would you tell them you got a good
use
crop?
It against you. Yeah.
So they're running around and they oftentimes, and this is funny too, they hit the big family names, the big farmers or whatever, they hit these certain plots. Yeah. Oh, this is going to do 60 bushel to the acre. Okay, well, and I honestly think that they fucking write that down and they hop on the plane and they go back to Washington and they go back to Ottawa.
And away they go.
Good enough. Yeah. They don't need to see the other 99% of the country. They got what they need. And then they make these bogus claims based on that. So 30% less, fuck it. Who cares?
Yeah.
I mean, and in fact, on our farm, because I asked the fertilizer guy, I said, so 30% less of what? 30% less of what we already use, or 30% less than what an agronomist says your ground needs, or 30% less of what the country buys? Yeah. 30% less of what? They don't know any of this yet.
It's 30% of hypothesis.
It's just 30%, right? And I think that came to meet either the Paris or whatever they got to do this, but they don't know 30%. What? They have no fucking idea.
Yeah.
And for anybody watching that isn't, Stan and I, we always say this. We realize that a lot of you guys are like-minded, and we're doing similar things, living similar lifestyles. So it's stuff that, I mean, that's why we always have these great conversations. But if there's someone in here that is an urbanite,
like an urban farmer or like
Just no, an urbanite, just a consumer.
Just live in town.
You're going to be the one that really suffers, and
For sure
fucking mark my words. When
Yeah.
30% less fertilizer comes in, it's not going to be any of us producers that I won't empty my bins. One guy asked me that. He said prices were so high last year. Why didn't you empty your bins? And I said there's two reasons. With the little side business selling feed that I started, there's actually quite a few people that rely on the fact that I'm going to have grain all year long.
7 skinny cows.
So I keep it.
Yeah.
Second, I can't eat money.
Yeah.
There's a bin full of wheat, seed wheat, nice clean wheat. I can grind that down. In fact, this winter I'm going to make a bunch of bread because I like doing that. I can eat the peas, I can eat the oats, I can eat the wheat. If it come to it and I want some chicken nuggets, I can crush chicken oil and I can make my own oil.
Well, your money is only worth what the government tells you it's worth too, right?
Well, there you go. You can't get anything.
You might make $100,000, but if the government says you that $100,000 is only going to buy half what it bought last year, which inflation is currently taking us there.
It is.
What's the value of your dollar? What's the value of the grain that's out of the bin, right?
What did we miss here?
So oil companies do the same thing, right? The value of the oil company is not in their production, right? There's nothing to do with their best producing well. The value of the oil company lies in reserve. What it has not yet produced, what it is yet to realize. It's the same with the farm. What you can put in the bin, what your land can yield, what you currently hold in your hand. Because a bird in the hand is worth two in the bush, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's the oldest, what do they call that?
It's
not a catchphrase.
Well, yeah.
Anyways.
I know what
you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Pulling a Biden moment there.
Who is this? Well, it is hard. It's hard. That's why we got to write some of this down. It's hard to string this together for 2-3 hours at a time.
Yeah.
I can't see your username. People don't know what they are doing. Are the ones who make the stupid rules. Yeah. Well, I think if you just jumped in here, metaphor.
Metaphor has
If you just jumped in here, what we talked about, we did talk about politics earlier on as one of the topics, conspiracy, election results, rigging, and stuff like that. And you're absolutely right. We actually did a whole live stream on the dawn of idiocracy, which is the premise of being ruled by fucking idiots.
Yeah.
And Stan and I, it's the movie itself is called Idiocracy, and it's very cultish.
Sure, it's a pop culture thing. Yeah.
Absolutely, but it has a cult following. It wasn't
Sure.
popular. It was like a fucking B-list movie.
It was. Yeah. It was
and
actually a pretty shitty movie, but I mean,
all in all, but it's watchable. I haven't even watched it again.
if you want to watch it and be like, "Oh, this seems
The-
awkwardly familiar."
The scary thing is when you turn the fucking TV on after about 15 minutes, you think it's a fucking window.
Yeah.
You don't think it's
Yeah.
a TV anymore.
Yeah.
You actually think you're looking out the fucking
You're like,
street.
oh god damn, I've been here before. Yeah.
So it's terrible.
Yeah.
But
So
share the live out. Yeah. Justin's doing a good job with that. We're also live streaming on YouTube for those on TikTok. There, I'll say it one more time here. We're mostly geared up to YouTube. That's how we follow along on the comments and the chat down on YouTube. And if you want to be entered in to win one of these cups, all you got to do is go over to YouTube, look for Smoke and Oak,
drop us a comment.
hop into the comment section, get involved. And then at the end of live, we go back, we see who all commented, throw your name in a hat and a wheel.
We're dealing twice from a single deck here right now.
Absolutely. Yeah, TikTok's kind of new to us. We do have a Smoke and Oak TikTok that if we ever get that up to 1,000, we do very little on that.
We're going to have to say some more inappropriate things
We will.
on there. Just
talk about penises.
That's the one thing you're right though. The most low-brow, low-intelligent things that you say on TikTok, that's the stuff that just goes and away it goes. It grows.
It does.
Right? You try to have a meaningful conversation. Well, try to have a meaningful conversation less than 15 seconds for starters, right? It doesn't facilitate anything that's intellectual. It really doesn't.
No, it's not. Yeah, it's not possible.
So you have to start off with either some type of comedy or some dumb shit, build a following, and then foray into it without veering too far out of your lane and losing your following. That's one challenge for me. TikTok's been like a beautiful social experiment for me because I've learned lots about social media and I've learned lots about people and how fickle they are.
And isn't that the premise of what they watch in Idiocracy?
Yeah.
The fucking number one movie in that movie is asses.
They just fart.
Just farting asses. And I thought like this lowbrow comedy is what gains the momentum to go viral.
Exactly.
I had I had done a TikTok about intercropping peas and canola, and I had quite a few guys ask, what do you do next now that you've gone by them? Well, and so the next day I said, well, like it was on TikTok. I said, for anybody that was wondering yesterday, you're lucky because we actually have to do this right now because the canola isn't ready.
Yeah.
I think 60-second TikTok. I spent I think fucking 18 seconds right off the start. I said, okay, it's gonna be loud when I go over there, so this auger feeds this, but here we go, and then I'll just show you now. I actually got a comment and there was like, fucking blah blah blah, you talk too much.
Yeah.
And then so one other guy hopped on. He's like, I don't get what you're saying, man. Pretty fucking simple, right? The peas go out one way and the fucking canola goes too. And because I was like, you know what? This is 60 seconds, man.
Yeah.
And
you
like
can't pay attention for 60 fucking like, what are you, 4 years old and you don't have an attention span? You can't sit there for 60 seconds.
But the thing is, like, my TikTok wasn't comedy. It was like it was actually a real situation happening on the farm that a lot of people were actually interested in. But this one fucking individual
spent more than a minute though, like just in a shit bag, leaving a dirty comment. Just fuck off and just keep scrolling.
Well, it made me laugh. Like, blah blah blah. I forget exactly what it said. It's something about you talk too much, and then I watched it back, and I was saying like 17 seconds of talking.
Yeah.
And then 38 seconds of fucking
showing.
Yeah. And then the whole thing was over in a minute. Like I think I didn't mean to put theirs. Yeah, I don't know.
But I've had that too with
guy's old lady is super fucking unsatisfied.
I've had that with YouTube on occasion too, where I'm talking about something with chickens, and I haven't done in the last year I haven't done a whole bunch. I've been more on the vlog side than more of the actual education side because there's time limited. But if you look back to like last year's videos, I was doing lots of like homesteading education and stuff, and I had some people like get to the point and it's like, no, like this isn't 5-second crafts or whatever, 5-minute crafts. Like if you don't have context and you go out and buy chickens or whatever, buy land, buy animals, whatever, and you just get this like short little thing and everything's gonna be sunshine and roses, you're either gonna go to the auction mart or you're gonna be going to the fucking cremation place because shit's gonna die and it's gonna be a bad deal. So you need the context. You
absolutely do.
You need the time to explain. And if there's questions, come back and ask those questions and answer them, right? But yeah, no, everybody wants instant gratification. Fuck those guys.
Well, like we were talking about, pre-live here, the prejudices you can have to people, you can definitely prejudge that individual that they will not be fucking successful.
Yeah, it's pretty easy to see.
Yeah, like when you don't have a fucking few minutes to dedicate to taking on a livestock operation of fucking whatever size, be it fucking like one rooster and 5 fucking hens or 5,000 fucking cows.
Yeah.
If you don't have a few minutes to immerse yourself into what the fuck is going to happen, you should just go back to your condo, let somebody else mow the fucking boulevard, and that's where you
pretty
need to
much,
fucking
right?
be. That's why I say that.
You
Just let someone else plant the fucking flowers.
Somebody else take accountability and have all responsibility for everything that currently happens around you.
Everyone's first year is a wreck. Yeah, well,
it is, right? And that's the thing. Like everybody's first year is a complete train wreck, and it's great. It's great that they learn all these really, really hard lessons. But if you're going to go to another producer that's already learned those hard lessons, specifically seeking advice on a subject,
don't rush them.
You need to have patience, right? You need Rome wasn't built in a day. You need to know where things go wrong and why they went wrong. Because why they went wrong for me may be different than why they go wrong for somebody in Ohio, right? So if I say, don't do this because of this, and all you hear is don't do this, well, I mean, you're just short selling yourself, right? So
I killed more sheep in my first year than I could have imagined. Hey, man, that's all right. That's a
that's a beautiful thing, and I don't mean that in a funny way, like not like a funny ha, but like funny ironic.
I got to encourage them again because there's quite a few on there.
Yeah,
I think that's 6 or 9.
I'm the same way. Like we've had a couple years where it's been brutal. Like sheep are one of those things that we keep quite a few here. They'll die because it's Tuesday. Like just because, like fuck it, I'm out. Like I've had enough. Fuck this place. I'm gonna jump the fence, or I'm gonna strangle myself in this hay feeder because this hay is so goddamn delicious that I just got to eat myself to death. or you know, I'm just perfectly fine in this flat ground. Let's go over here and get tangled up in the fence and break my leg. Like, you know, stupid shit like that. Sheep are really frustrating. I was talking with a guy today. He come over and did some skid steer work, and he's just like, "Oh yeah, no, like you got sheep. Like they're pretty low maintenance, right?" And I was like, "Wow." You obviously never seen a sheep in your life because yeah, no, they're not low maintenance at all. I spend like every fucking day out of my neighbor. Like my neighbor has more sheep than I do, and I own them all. So it's I tell you, it's a chore. The first year we only had 5, right? Because I was like going a little bit batshit crazy after my old man's funeral. That the priest was talking about sheep, and my old man hated sheep, but it was a big joke. So I was like, come home, oh fuck, I'm gonna get this sheep. The old man will roll over in his grave. It's gonna be the funniest thing ever. So I got these 5 sheep from Fairview, and they were just feral, just completely feral. Like they were like, these kids raised them, and they ran around this field trying to catch these sheep. Anyways, they all got here, and yeah, like every day they were out. Every day they come home for work. That was my purpose, right? That's what gave me purpose during a really rough time in my life, was chasing these sheep off the neighbor's place and trying to get them into a place they were supposed to be. Now here we are, it's like 5 years later, and we've got like a whole bunch of them. And for as much as we tried, like they still find new and creative ways to get through the fence or in the fence or fucked up, and I don't know. It's like some days I'm just like, I just fill the trailer. We'll just send them all to Tofield or Westlock or whatever. But then I'm like, no, because then I got to get cows, and cows like really wreck shit. Like, so I'm gonna get cows. I gotta get like all steel panel. Like I just remortgage the farm and just get like all steel corrals.
Just by yourself, yeah.
And just like, no, I need to bulletproof this thing, because my father-in-law has the cows here all summer long, and then I spend the next 2 months fixing fence. The other day he loaded them all out, fucked up all the corrals. There's boards broken. There's gates bent. It's just like, and he has the dad. He tells me, he's like, "Oh, well, you're really gonna have to fix this place up if you're gonna take these cows on." I'm like, I don't want anything to do with these fucking cows, but send them to the auction mart. You can tell, like when they start prancing like a horse and their necks like stretched up and their ears are perked up. I'm like, you would taste really good. Like, just get out of here.
One for the frying pan.
Yeah,
right?
just leave, right? So
why are you dressed? Why are we dressed up? That's Mike.
Well, it's a special occasion.
Mike's whack. You do the spiel once. I'm gonna smoke this cigar. I'm getting tired of that.
100 years ago or more, when we were young fellas, we decided it was a good idea. We both had independent YouTube channels, and we thought there was an opportunity to collaborate on a thing. And maybe talk a little bit about, well, mostly it was agricultural based.
Off the start.
And we did it downstairs, actually, in right in front of the tractor. We had our jeans and our hoodie on, and we had a whiskey. Well, we had a rum, and then we had a whiskey, and then we thought, oh, you know what? We can step up our game. The whole purpose of this is to have some good conversation, some good company, and just to enjoy the evening and relax. And sometimes when you just want to have a cigar and a whiskey, and you want to really up your game, it's good mental health exercise, really, what this is, right? And it never feels bad to put on a suit, tie a tie, come out here and smoke a cigar and have a glass of $140 whiskey. It's just a good time. And so if anybody comes and joins us, we would encourage anybody to come light a cigar, have a whiskey with us, join the conversation. And it does lots for us. So
find yourself a top shelf chair.
Find yourself a chair. These chairs came from
Scotland.
Well, they came from a guy that came from Scotland, but the chairs are actually custom made for a family in Eastern Canada. This one was made in 1965. That one was made in 1966, but for the same customer. And I really do need to get these recovered. I tried to call that upholstery guy, but
no way.
Kind of ghosted me there. I don't know why.
Did he ever get back to you at all?
No, he never did. So
maybe he doesn't do it anymore.
So everybody knows a good upholstery guy near Grand Prairie, Alberta.
Might have to load him up and take him down to Joe.
Might have to, yeah. Put some fine leather on there.
Some cowhide on him.
Yeah, King Ranch style.
King Ranch.
Can you imagine getting the Smoke and Oak logo tapped in there? I don't know how he does it, but it looks pretty articulate.
Amazing. Yeah, I don't know how you spend that much time on one thing.
It'd be $1,000 chair or more.
I wouldn't have any fingernails left by the time I was done stressing over hitting the punch the wrong way once.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's why that all started. We set up Smoke and Oak. We did drive more to YouTube because, as Stan had said, he's the gentleman farmer on YouTube, and I'm the millionaire farmer on YouTube. So we did Smoke and Oak on YouTube, and that's why if you are liking at all what you see and you're interested in the conversation, I definitely would encourage you to go over to Smoke and Oak on YouTube because that's where we can follow along with the comments. If you do participate and leave us some comments, then you'll be entered into win a cup, either a coffee mug or a whiskey glass, depending on which one you want. We'll ship that off to you. We do a draw. After every live.
Well, I think the suits they started with an off the cuff comment about Dan Pena too, didn't it?
Oh fuck!
Like that guy was just being a clown. Like he really gets some traction on social media for a while there, yelling at 17-year-olds.
Yeah, we should wear fucking suits. No, you said they were.
So after seeing that, and then I was watching Anchorman one day, and then it was like,
oh shit,
let's go buy new suits. And then I thought about Brick Tamlin. Where'd you get those clothes? The toilet store? Fuck, that's a funny movie. I don't care who you are. So then I was like, well, let's do it. That's what's it gonna hurt, right? It's not hurt nothing. It's just a bit of fun, and you know.
Yeah, why have all this shit in the closet, right?
Yeah, right.
You have to break it out a few times a year.
My wife, every 2 weeks we do one of these videos, or every thereabouts 2-3 weeks. And the wife always gives me a hard time, and even my 3-year-old daughter, she come in and she's like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "Oh, I'm getting dressed." "Well, why are you getting dressed?" "Well, because I just got out of the shower." Well, like she can tell she's just judging the shit out of me. I'm getting judged by a fucking 3-year-old. And she's, because she's like, "Well, are you going to a wedding or like what's with who died or like what's going on here?" Like,
I get the smoky oak. Are you doing your smoky oak thing again or what, Dad?
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm doing my smoky oak thing.
It's kind of funny, anyways, to see the reaction because lots of people don't get it, and that's fine. It's kind of our thing, and it's just a bit of fun. It's not hurting anybody.
Definitely worst place to spend an evening.
Gets us out of the house.
Yeah. And yeah, it's certainly a conversation that you don't regularly have.
Oh no, yeah. Well, if you don't leave the farm, we don't have many conversations. But there's a lot of I think there's things bubbling under the surface that people want to say. That I'm hoping we facilitate some of those conversations.
Oh, absolutely.
Like I know if I get shit on sometimes on TikTok. My wife will watch my TikTok and she'll be like, "What are you trying to like? I can't believe you said that." And I'm like, okay, well, I don't really mean necessarily what I'm saying. This is maybe part of a character. It's part of a social experiment. But ultimately, at the end of the day, the point is, let's engage people in a conversation about it. Something that's hard to talk about. Mm-hmm. Right. And that's all the things that we've talked about through, finances and agriculture and food security and now conspiracy theories are things that these conversations happen behind closed doors. They happen between one or two people, and it would be really great if we would just actually have those conversations openly.
Yeah.
Right. More public conversation, less stuff on social media. I mean, I know we're doing this YouTube and TikTok. I mean that's a bit hypocritical to say, but what other platform do we really have right now, right?
So, well, exactly, right, and that's
you use the technology that's available to you while it's available to you.
Mm-hmm.
Ron Thatcher's on. Oh, good evening, Ron. Ron's a Beaver Lodge guy, so that's awesome. Good to see him on. Justin says, "Have any of you raised turkeys?" Well, I mean, you just talked to Poke the Bear, Justin.
Talk about your turkeys. How was Thanksgiving?
Thanksgiving
was it a
awesome.
Good turkey?
It was a really good turkey, actually. So
what was it made out of?
Fucking cardboard and soybeans. I don't know. Anyway, so this spring we decided we're going to get, I think it was like 150 chickens and 12 turkeys. So my in-laws, they have a much larger brooder. They call it brooder, but it's really just a chicken house. It's 7,000 years old. So we went there and I wired the whole thing for them. So got it all set up for heat lamps, insulated it, got it all set up. It was mint. Kids even painted murals. It was beautiful. Just a work of art. Anyways, father-in-law goes there, flicks on the lights, and like a day later, oh, it's still a little chilly in here. Flicks on another heat lamp, blows the breaker. Comes back. There's like 13 dead birds in there. Oh, the turkeys died. Oh, okay. Well, fuck, that sucks. Anyways, like 2 weeks later, yeah, no, none of the turkeys died. Turkey, because they grow at a different rate, right? Initially, you can't really tell the two apart. Like, they just look like like chicks, right? 2 weeks later, it's very apparent that no, just some chicken chicks died, and the turkey chicks are doing great. Well, it doesn't take too many weeks, and 150 chicken chicks, or well, now 137 chicken chicks, and whatever, however many of these turkey chicks are growing, and they're using up this space. So it's like we gotta make some room. So we agreed, okay, we're gonna bring a whole bunch of the chickens over here, and they're gonna put them in the chicken tractors, and we'll move them around our lawn every day. And that's something that I do professionally. Like I take quite a bit of pride in it. I've got that nailed down to a science. The turkeys is a foreign thing. It is just like I just never ventured there before. Everything I've read, the turkeys are so fucking dumb. They will look up on a rainy day and drown because it's just the rain will just go down their throat. They're so stupid. So, anyways, you bring them here, and they're now we brought them here. They're like 6 to 7 weeks old. So they've been with the chickens. They've learned how to eat. They've learned how to drink. We put them in our small chicken house. And like immediately 2 of them die. And then like it's like every day we've got another dead one, another dead one, another dead one. Now we're down to only like 2. We're like, fuck, like are we playing like the Highlander? Like there can be only 1. And we got down to 1. And I was like, oh, this turkey better taste fucking delicious. But that prick died too. Like 2 days later it died too. And I'm pretty sure, because they had food and water, and the food and water was like the food was disturbed, so somebody was eating, but maybe not enough. Maybe they didn't know what to do with it. Maybe they just like moved it around and didn't know like, oh, this is food, because they are so stupid. But I'm pretty sure they died of thirst, literally 6 inches from the water bowl. So that was a wash. We lost 10 turkeys. That was a real shame. So then, what was it, 2 days ago, or was it yesterday?
Last night, yeah.
It was last night, yeah, because we were at the pizza. We were at the pizza place. We were picking up pizza, and you'd asked me if we wanted turkeys or whatever, and I said, "Oh, I better ask the wife." And I said, "Oh yeah, no, I think the in-laws got their Thanksgiving turkey from the Hutterites or something this year." So then later on, I was asking the wife if she wanted 4 turkeys because you were at the turkey guy's place, and she said, "No, we're good." And I said, "Oh, like, did they get it at the Hutterites or where did they get this turkey?" No, they got it at Walmart. And I was like, "Oh, fuck." It was actually a really good turkey. I gotta give him credit. The Walmart turkey was actually quite good, and I didn't know any better. So
yeah, gravy, right? Gravy and cranberries.
Yeah, put enough gravy on anything, and you can trick me. I guess for as refined as my palate's supposed to be, clearly that bird was not tough enough to have been raised on a local farm.
But what you will notice more scientifically is it was not a nutrient dense turkey. Almost guaranteed.
Yeah, no, and that's
flavor profile probably good.
Flavor profile
Butterball
was.
I
mean, you
stuffing.
I even asked the wife what she seasoned the turkey with. I said, like, did she coat this thing in maple syrup or what? 'Cause it almost tasted sweet, actually. Oh, yeah. So I don't know. There was something definitely different about it, but it was good. Like it tasted good. Like I can see, but I mean, you can go to fucking McDonald's and get something that tastes good.
That's
it's
true.
Absolutely fucking garbage for you, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So I mean, flavor is not necessarily indicative of value. So, needless to say, turkeys did not go well. Just they don't like drafts or any cold air come through the door will kill them. Yeah, no, this was like June, so. I fucked up. Anyways, we got the barn built. The guy come today, he finished the floor and everything. We're going to put the pens up next year. I'm going to get 12 turkeys. I'm going to get a dozen turkeys. Start small, right? And see if I can't kill those 2. Or one. Try not to, of course, but.
Well, we might have to do a grow off. Again, we might have to do a grow off.
But we will have to have a turkey grow off competition.
We were thinking about doing that. So I texted him when I was leaving the turkey guys place, and he said, "Yeah, whatever." I said next year, and I don't know. Maybe what do you guys think? That could be it could be an interesting YouTube collaboration.
We should do like
we'll get
through the month.
We'll see.
They're like 3 months.
We'll see who can keep anything alive for Thanksgiving.
Yeah, I think it can be done, but I don't think I can do it without keeping. Like you got to run it like a daycare. Like you literally have to have like an educational assistant there with them all the time. to show them literally where to drink. And I know people say like put tin foil in the water, or like shiny little rocks in the water, or you need another bird there to show them where to eat, because they're so stupid. And it's like, okay, well, how is that possible then? Because we haven't commercially grown turkeys for forever. Like the life cycle of a turkey is really only, I mean, turkeys grow in the wild.
Yeah.
How do they make it? I don't know. Anyways, it's a mystery. It's a mystery to me.
That is an argument that I've had with a few people too, right? When they're like, oh, well, you know, you don't need to domesticate these things. And yeah, maybe we don't. And of course, there's one thing that both yourself and myself are definitely advocates for is not factory farming. I don't think we should be doing that.
No,
but however,
factory farming,
animals need they do need to be looked after. So if you don't, I mean, even this year, so we usually do 10 steers. I shouldn't say usually. That's our plan going forward. We started with 2. I kept them alive long enough to put in the freezer. Win. I think the next year we did 4 or 5, and then we did. Then I thought, you know what? Let's get 10.
Yeah, why not?
Before I even got the bill for the 4 of them, fucking 2 died.
That's right.
And I asked my
belly
wife,
full of plastic, right?
Yeah. So I'm not. I got to admit, not a livestock individual, not a cowboy. I come from a grain farm. Was on a grain farm my whole life. So I asked my wife, who comes from a cattle family, I said, are we running like a fucking high risk operation here or what? Like, is this like what? And she said, like, basically buying.
How much protein's in a fucking
buying
7 pounds of bale wrap?
Yeah, buying feeders, you know, that are already weaned and already onto grain, is basically the lowest risk operation you can run. Yeah, and yet we were 80% successful.
Yeah,
so it's a tough game.
Yeah. No, I'm firmly in the chicken camp. I know people call me the crazy chicken man every once in a while, but I can go out there every day at 5 o'clock in the morning. I can move that chicken tractor. Last year I didn't lose a single chicken bird. Like I got that nailed down. The year before there was obviously some environmental factors that came to play, but
there's one out there. What the hell does that say? Does YouTube have mods? Oh, that's Justin. I don't know, Justin. If it does, we'll hook you up.
I don't know if that's a thing yet or not.
And then that's the other one when we dressed up. But yeah, I don't know if they do or not.
So we're not actually, I guess, for Justin's benefit, we're not actually on YouTube right now. We're actually on StreamYard. It's a streaming service that allows us to go through to YouTube. So we can actually, you can bring other people on board.
Okay.
Like you can bring guest speakers and all kinds of cool stuff in. So we've kind of thrown that idea around, maybe having somebody come in. But I mean, technically, you could have.
Yeah, there's been a few people that are like, "Fuck, we want to come check this out."
Yeah. Well, I seen like half a dozen people a month comes. It's like, this is so cool. Like, I want to be a part of this, right?
Mm-hmm. So, it is.
But like anything, you gotta vet those people, right? So there's some real weirdos out there.
Don't know who you want to spend 2 hours of your evening with.
Yeah. Don't know who you want to share $140 whiskey with, but yeah. Anyways, what did we miss for comments here? Oh, Ron had the same experience with turkeys. Well, I'm glad I'm not the only one, at least. Fred said we've done both the bronze and the white. I guess we've been lucky that way. So, like anything, lessons were learned. It's sad and unfortunate. And at the time, if you watch the original YouTube videos from earlier this summer, you'll know that. I mean, I took it on the chin pretty hard. I honestly, I joke about it now, but at the time, I took it very personally. Learned the lesson. Things will be different next year. But
it is funny to laugh at now. But you're absolutely right. It's not.
At the time, I remember when you lost that steer. Well, 2 of them
fucking pissed me right off.
I mean, that was. I mean, as a producer, you really take that personally, right? You do, right? So, Chad said, Justin said he has a 75-pound turkey that he raised on Bloom's feed. Like, I don't know, is that like 75 pounds?
The ones that I just picked up from the butcher, like so dressed or whatever.
What's that kind of 9 years old?
They're 31 pounds.
31 pounds.
Fucking if it's 70, that's nuts. Like you're gonna have to build an oven to fit that thing in there.
Well, we did that one year.
Rotisserie on a fire.
We had to cut the turkey up one year because the one that we raised at the in-laws. But I think it dressed out at like 40-some pounds. And we had to splice it up. There
are some massive ones, and I mean, certainly, both of us, we really advocate for shop local. And so, I mean, this producer, he's out in Elmworth. Got turkeys from last year and the year before. And I always tell them, like, make sure you save me your biggest one, or at least one of the biggest ones, because there's nothing cooler than taking a fucking 30, 40-pound bird and having that, crispy skin, golden brown, Christmas Day. Like,
Yeah.
And I don't know. I will say, I mean, Smoking Oak probably isn't the platform for it, but yeah, if that doesn't interest you, then you're probably going to be lost on the Millionaire Farmers channel.
Yeah.
Because that's all about that.
You'll still be lost on Smoking Oak because we're, as much as we're diverse in the things we talk about, we're still grounded in some form of agriculture, right? That's where we both come from.
Very true.
If we're not eating, then we're not showing up. So, which can I interest you in a fun-sized Snicker bar?
Yeah, I'll take a fun-sized Snicker bar.
That seems kind of random, but I bought some Halloween candy the other day, just to get it eaten and out of the way before Halloween.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's, what is that, a couple weeks away?
Talk about a conspiracy. They say that it's one of the biggest ones. Holiday season.
Sure it is.
They start selling Halloween candy like 5 months before Halloween. There's no purpose for that. Just to make us eat that. That's the only purpose of that.
That's the
when they got Christmas trees out already.
That's the pricks that make insulin to do that.
So, it's the corporations are going to get you.
Well,
they didn't have Snickers at the Scotch station.
No, they should have. A week from today, here's my prediction. A week from today, Halloween won't even be done. You go to the Walmart, the Canadian Tire, what have you, whatever your preferred store may be, I bet you there's going to be Christmas shit.
Well, I pulled into a guy's place the other day. His Christmas tree up and on.
But really?
Mm-hmm.
Like on this season, or like it's still standing from last?
No, it's in his living room. Oh, I don't know about that. It was in his living room though.
There's a moth in here. Because I've seen that where I've seen like people are just like, fuck it, we'll just leave it up. We'll just be festive all year.
Yeah,
which really takes away from the season.
It absolutely does. But I mean, I like Christmas, so I could see myself being like, you know what, this is such a good feeling around this time of year. Let's just leave it up. But like you said, it detracts.
There's nothing I hate worse than putting that Christmas tree back in that box. And we bought a decent Christmas tree when we moved into the house here, and it's like it goes to the ceiling, so it's probably like 8 feet or 9 feet tall, and it's heavy. Like I mean, it might as well be a real tree. Like it's fucking heavy, right? And every year I try and jam that thing back in that box, and that box just bows. And it's got duct tape on it, and I'm like, oh man, please hold, because like you get a hold of that thing, you got to go down the stairs and then get it under the stairs, and you're taking your life in your hands. When you a tagline on this thing, like
you don't do the real tree.
We don't do a real tree, no. Good, well, because I'm a fireman, right? I can't get there.
Really?
Yeah, too big a fire risk, too many needles on the floor. No.
Interesting. I don't think I'd ever go back.
I've seen too many houses burn down because of real trees, and
Interesting.
I know enough about myself to know that I'm super lazy. So when it comes to watering that tree religiously, I mean I can't even keep live plants alive, let alone one that's fucking cut down. So,
we always had a fake tree when we lived in town, and when we moved out, we got a real tree.
Oh, this brick's like pre-lit and everything. I plug it in, I hang some shit off of it. And it's Christmas.
That's a big thing for us now. Is going out and finding that tree. Fuck, last year we cut down it was 45-foot tree. We cut it down just to take the top off.
Yeah.
And then
that seems kind of sinful too.
Fuck, did I get some backlash, eh? And you know what we did last week?
The tree's probably like fucking 120 years old.
But you know what we did last week? We went and got that tree because now it's 2 years aged. We brought it, we delimbed it, and we chopped it up, and it's going to be firewood in our house.
There you go.
So
because you'd be probably in your house for Christmas this year.
We will, but yeah, we're actually that's why she wanted to get the garden out. That's the first thing we moved into our new house. The cold room is full, canning and full of spuds.
Your new house is already full.
It's already full, all through.
And you're still like drywalling and stuff around it.
Drywalling is done. They got to do the flooring next week, cabinets next week. But it's all drywall, it's all painted.
That's awesome.
And so flooring, cabinets. And
you'll have to do a live tour of the house.
Yeah, I don't know. If people are into that, I could, I guess.
Oh,
I had planned to do a whole start to finish thing, but
I could just swing by, I guess.
it's funny when I was at this the grain elevator there, the grand opening yesterday,
Richardson?
and one guy was sitting there and he said, "You look real familiar." And I said, "At these things, man, everybody looks
Yeah,
familiar,
sure.
right?"
I got that kind of face, right?
And then after a while, he said, "Are you the Millionaire Farmer?" And I said, "Yeah, actually, yeah." And he said, "I wanted to do a YouTube thing,
Funny you should ask.
but he said I'm so busy." And he's right. I mean, you see it too. When you're the one doing the work,
Yeah,
it's so hard to fucking get it filmed.
Sure it is.
So I mean, I watch in this. Take it as you want, but I watch a lot of different farms that are there. The individual behind the camera, all of the fucking work is getting done around them.
Yeah.
Where it's not the case for a lot of us. Certainly, a lot of us smaller channels. We're the editor, we're the photographer, and then we're the one doing all of
You're
the
the whole
work.
production crew, right? Through
Right.
the edit, yeah.
And then you watch some of these, certainly the larger channels, and there's like one individual who's just fucking walking around with a camera, and you look behind him, and there's more fucking shit happening than you could ever dream to have happening in one day on your operation. And they're not even part of it. They know what's going on. They can explain what's going on, but they're actually not doing the physical work.
There's a few channels, and you see they actually do come out of North Carolina. Which, I mean, if anybody knows who I'm talking about, who they have a whole production team coming around behind them, and then they milk their cow and they chase their sick sheep or whatever they do. But there's actually a whole production crew behind them. And I don't know about. I remember the early days when I started. Glenn Gillis is a guy that he quite often comments on my stuff. And in the early days, he would just be like, "Just show me. Don't tell me. Just show me what you're doing." And I'm like, I got no fucking hands. Like, I really struggle with that initially. And every once in a while, I get the wife out and she'll video a thing or whatever. But I find it's kind of awkward to have somebody else filming me while I'm trying to explain a thing or while I'm trying to do a thing. And
well, that's exactly. I find it awkward when they're around. If my old man's around or if the wife's around, when I'm like standing there trying to, and then they're like just waiting for me to stop talking. I'm like, I'll just shut this fucking down. Let's get.
Well, as the other day, I was in the barn. I was talking about the kick plate in the barn that I just built, and then the wife walked in the barn, and I'm just like, I felt like such a freaking doorknob.
I know. That's right. You're like, could you not fucking stay in the house for 5 more fucking minutes?
You don't want to give them shit or whatever. That's not the point. But it's just like, you feel like you got caught jerking off.
I was trying to shut your phone off real quick. I wasn't looking at anything. No, I hear you all day long on that. But it's funny. I was just up in we got a man basket there for that Zoom boom, and then we had a rotten header on that one shed. Mm-hmm. So I'm up in the basket, and I'm kind of thinking like, I haven't put out a video in a while. We'll do a little bit of this, and I'm thinking like, you know what? She's in there waiting for me to fucking because there's not a man left. There's no controls up there.
Sure,
someone has to
you
be
need somebody else to run it.
Yeah, I'm thinking like, I'm not wasting her fucking time.
So,
fuck my life. But anyways,
gigantic orders. Chad's Walmart already has Christmas stuff going to the shelves in Peace River. Wow.
I'm not sure I'm into that. I really not.
I'm a firm believer in November 12th.
Yeah.
Get Remembrance Day out of the way, and because that to me is sacred.
Yeah, I can get on board with that. Yeah, and that's the thing, right? There's kind of enough that you give it the time, right? So whether you like it or not, whether you agree with it or not, the season kind of flows around, right? I mean, there's the Halloween that's big for kids. You should leave it leave it alone. Don't we don't need it on October fucking 20th the stores to be full of Christmas.
No,
just leave it alone.
No.
Right, then we in Canada.
I'll go buy my Christmas presents.
Well, I mean we're doing that year long, right?
Exactly.
Oh fuck, that's 80% off. I know who wants that.
Let's go.
Right? Yeah. That goes under the bed, right?
Yeah,
or up in the loft or something. But when you actually start to
the clock. Remember the clock that was here?
I remember the clock.
The clock's gone, right? It was my anniversary present for the wife. Brought it in the house. And you bring something in the house, and it's got to go up on the wall. Get it up on the wall. Because when you have little kids, and they're like, "Oh, what is this?" With the clock. Now the clock doesn't work.
Now it's just a decoration.
Now it's just this decorative clock that hangs on the wall, and it's always fucking 3:40 perpetually in our house.
Right, twice a day.
all day long. It never moves. It doesn't do anything.
That's why I say it's right twice a day.
Yeah, it's right twice a day. Yeah. Chances, stuff is getting way too commercialized. Seeing the lights on before Remembrance Day. Yeah, well, and I really struggled with this in the last 2 years too, because there was a lot of restrictions on whether you could go to a Remembrance Day ceremony or theoretically could go. We just went. We're just going to show up, and if I got to stand down the street, I'm going to stand down the street. But I'm going to pay my respects. I got an uncle that was on the back of a $10 bill for years and years, and now there's something else on the back of a $10 bill. But Bob Metcalf, if you ever want to know who he is, a little bit of family history, look that up. But quite an interesting guy. So yeah, well, to me, it's one of those things. It's kind of sacred, and it's just a day. If you can just wait a day, just get and then.
Oh, I agree.
And then have at her. Like you literally got 6 weeks to just give her. Like,
well,
people will spend money. They got no problem.
We're diluting so many things, and I think it has to stop somewhere, right? Or I mean, like what's the point?
Nobody closes for Remembrance Day anymore either. Like, I mean, there's a few like in small town, like I'm sure the McLeods and Beaver Lodge or whatever they'll roll up the sidewalks there or whatever for that little stuff. But you go to Grand Prairie and it's business as usual.
Yeah.
Right? Like that to me is shameful, right? Like it's not a stat holiday. Like there's more to it. Like people fucking died. Like people died so I could go to Walmart.
Yeah.
Maybe close the Walmart.
That might be the first one that the wrapper held right together, right down.
Held right together.
To the
I struggle with this one all the way, and I'm now I got like an inch and a half left.
I got it burnt to nothing.
You're burnt to a nub, but I'm there's a wisp of smoke coming there, but I'm really pulling hard. Like
interesting. You cut it back 3 or 4 times.
I cut it 3 times. And like I'm sucking a bag of dicks just to try and get this thing down. Like
Jesus Christ. Oh Lord.
Yeah, it's the last little bit there. It gets a little peppery. It's getting a little less.
It is. It's even getting hot in the lips. So, well, what did we miss? We hit them all, or what? What do you got? You got a couple more there or no?
Well, I mean, I got. Who blew up the Nord Stream pipeline?
Yeah, I don't know. See, I like if it was going to be an inside job, I would have put it more on the West than I would have ever put it on Russia. I wouldn't.
I think.
But
we're on the same page on that. The United States blew up the Nord Stream pipeline. I'm going to say that without question. I don't care who comes after me.
Firebomb here.
The United States blew up the Nord Stream pipeline. Biden said that 7 months before it happened that pipeline will not operate. They took that fucker out, and they're trying to stir up shit between Germany and Russia.
And yeah, well, when you start to watch these things on TikTok, on YouTube, even the news, it's easy to see biased reporting in the news when they start out right away with divisive fucking words. Like I hate to say that because that's the woke side, right? Like
yeah.
Words are violent. Well, some words are when they're in a sentence, they're in there to distract you or to sway you instantly just by reading the headline. Yeah. Like now you know what to believe, right? But I was shocked to see that there's a tremendous. The Russians did it. The Russians did it. Well, fuck. And I guess that's why I said earlier when I did my YouTube tour. Who knows? Who the fuck knows?
All you need to do is look to who's accusing to know who's actually who's pointing the finger, right? Whoever's pointing the finger has more to do with it than they're willing to say.
Whoever smelt the Delta,
whoever smelt the Delta. That's I haven't heard that in a while. But that's the truth.
Whoever,
right?
Yeah,
that's the truth. Like
the old fucking 4 pointing back at you.
So there's that one. I mean, of course, now the Russians then sent sent missiles into Kiev and happened to just conveniently bomb the U.S. or the German embassy. Like the last time Germany and Russia tangled, it was not that good.
No.
So nothing fantastic has ever came out of that. Germany's now rebuilding its military. They haven't had a really effective military since 1945. So nothing good's going to come of that. And not to say that we're going to end up in World War III necessarily, but the minute people start investing in,
Well, we don't seem to be fucking going the other way.
We're not
unfortunately.
We're not going the
We
other
don't seem to be taking the why the other way. Be like, let's avoid this at all costs.
Yeah. No. Exactly.
And we've actually numbed the general population to the idea of it. People don't give a fuck anymore. They used to hide under their desks twice a day.
Yeah, the air raid
To
siren would come
make
on
sure we knew what the fuck,
and the kids would hide.
a feeble attempt, but the people had a plan. We don't even give a shit.
Well, I mean, if you look at well, more than half, probably 90% of the populace that lives on TikTok, as an example,
It's terrible.
is completely unaware of what's going on in the world.
And potentially can happen.
Potentially happen. Yeah. Complete, because they're watching some guy frying noodles in a wok, or watching somebody dance, some scantily clad woman dance around.
They're certainly not watching two guys drinking scotch.
Well, I mean, there's probably half a dozen.
I can't. How the fuck can you see
It's
that?
so
You got
small.
your contacts in. I
Yeah,
guess.
no, I
can't see shit.
can't see that hardly. You know, we got to figure it out. There's got to be a way to make it bigger, like
Just bigger,
bigger. We need like a
bigger
we need
and bigger.
like a smart TV, and then go on TikTok and widescreen that shit, so that we're not like
Squinting and looking.
it's quite the deal. Anyways, what did we miss for comments here?
Boom. So
Chad,
boom.
subscribe, and that's
Done.
all. Remember, stay. It's there for a reason. Give thanks to our ancestors and relatives, and give us so much for the rest of us. 100%. And if he says, or vandalize Coastal GasLink pipeline in January, well, yeah, that's definitely another one. Chad says, if the Americans themselves didn't blow up the line, they sure gave step-by-step instructions to the Ukrainians. Yeah, I mean, again, it's Operation Northwoods. Like, here's the playbook. Have at her, right?
Mhm.
And the bridge into Crimea, that was another example,
know.
right? Like, man, oh man, like that it's getting real there. Like, it's like a legit war. And I remember, like, as a kid, I remember the Gulf War. I don't know if you were old enough to remember that, because I'm just a few years older than you, but I remember the Gulf War. Like, it was, you could not put a screen in front of you without seeing, like, the Royal Air Force going over Kuwait and, like, carpet bombing that place. Like, it was, like, live coverage was everywhere. It was very fact-based. It was very, like, this is what's going on. And every day we lost this person, this person, this person, this person, this person. It was the death toll would come down on the screen. I remember this in the early 90s. Late 80s, early 90s. And it always stuck with me, right? Today, you've got this thing going on, and it's like, well, let's just watch somebody making spaghetti. Like, it's just like, there's so much, like, nobody gives a shit.
It is as well.
There's a global fucking tragedy unfolding in front of us, and we're doing nothing about it.
I hate to say it yet again, but fucking, if you watch that movie about how fucking dumb the population can become and how numb to anything, it's no wonder. So you want to talk about a conspiracy of epic proportions for a movie like that to gain no fucking traction. I mean, somebody suppressed that. That should have been an eye opener.
Well, it should
of
have.
all eye openers.
It should
Same
have
with the one "Don't Look Up." That was another one that should have been an eye opener.
Yeah.
But the Dawn of Idiocracy, that.
But I think the only way they were allowed to produce and distribute those movies was by making it satire. They had to make it ridiculous to the point of where it was like.
But when did it come
So
out? It was like
watered
their
down.
early 2000s movie, Idiocracy. Like, it's not
Idiocracy was
new.
Yeah, no, it was mid 2000s. Yeah.
So to gain absolutely no traction, I mean, it seems to me that somehow suppressed that, because I mean now people they will watch it and just find it funny and not see any relation to current events. It is shocking.
Yeah.
It is shocking. It's amazing. But where we go from here, I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, Chad says his dad remembers the drills for nuclear strikes in Ontario in school, the commercials on TV, and how to survive. Yeah, hide under your desk, and that's going to help you. On our fire hall, we still have the air raid siren for CFB Beaver Lodge from the Canadian Forces Base. We've got it every once a month. We actually ring that siren at 7:00, first Monday of the month, just to kind of keep that thing going, right? So, not for a tradition thing, but just. make sure it's still functional, because God forbid we ever actually have to use it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's kind of interesting. He says, Gulf War was kind of scary. I remember it was in high school. Principal came in and told us about our civic responsibilities and how it could degenerate into a draft for soldiers. And do you think now, if you walk into any high school, any principal would ever tell you about your civic responsibilities?
What, they were playing Gangster Paradise there in the States because Coolio
died. Yeah.
That's where we're at.
Yeah, it's shameful now, and I try to volunteer my time wherever I can for anything that's there's obviously community need for something. I try and volunteer my time where I can, right? But few and far between. You don't find people that do that anymore, right? Nobody understands. Like, I should say nobody, but I think nobody under the age of 30 really understands what civic responsibility means, because they want to get paid for it.
Yeah, well,
or find somebody else to do it and pay them to do it.
Certainly that, and then there seems to be a huge shift of just kind of hating on everything, questioning everything, hating on everything.
Yeah.
Maybe questioning isn't the word, but there's definitely a lot of just general fucking hate towards everything, lack of understanding, and
You want a dessert cigar?
I do. I definitely do. Yeah. So, yeah, it's I can't. You're very delicate when you watch these. Thank you, sir. Because you haven't washed them letters off yet.
No, I hand wash these every time.
Interesting.
And I mean, before I do that, I don't just get in there with a scrub brush or anything like that. I have a 30-minute regime where I apply lanolin, my homemade lotion, and beeswax to my hands. And then I like to get in there nice and deep,
I guess whatever it takes to make the letters stay on the fucking thing. I appreciate what you do.
Yeah.
I would think four flames might be a little much.
Yeah, I just roasted. I see the thing. I watch or not watch. I follow a couple of cigar pages on Facebook there. One guy was sharing a cigar that he was trying to smoke, and like 3/4 of the way back, it's just black and the wrapper's all split, and he's just getting judged accordingly, right, on the internet. So
TikTok wasn't popping here lately. Actually, there's only one on there. Must be just Justin.
Yeah, Fred says kids now think war is like a video game. Yeah, well, I mean, they never, and we've said this before. Nobody in I could say that honestly from my generation. Nobody in my generation has experienced hardship. In my parents' generation, maybe there's a few of them that did. My dad was born right after the Second World War, so I mean, there was still hardship, but it was not like the consequence wasn't there.
Yeah,
times were still tough, right? But it wasn't like nobody was bombing the shit out of them.
And I think that's it, right? They were very productive. They were expected to be productive. Technology, infrastructure, had been fucking blown up in Europe for sure. Canada was young, right? They had their struggles.
Yeah.
But there wasn't.
But like my dad, born in 1949, lived his whole life with running water, right? My mom, born in Canada in 1962, didn't have running water until she was 16.
Yeah.
So different, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Well, that certainly shows the age of Western Canada for sure, right? I mean, my dad he was born in 1952. He said they didn't get power until he was 9.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah. So we've never had to do anything meaningful, right?
But like he said,
had to bear any cross, really, right?
But because you had done that one YouTube video, and that was really good. I wish I should get the title of that. We should share that out again, because I told my dad after that, right, when he said they hadn't seen such hardship, and he agreed with that. But he said, the one thing is we were expected to be productive, and we were. Like we were building, and we're still building.
We're still building it. Yeah, 100%. We're still building.
I mean, you and I talked about this, I think, 2 live streams ago at the live stream after party. And we were saying where you're from in Europe, Fucking everything's paved, and if they need
the
bridges are there.
There's
and
no
everything.
gravel road.
I mean, and here, fuck, we barely have a train.
Yeah.
I mean, the trestle burned down.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Train trestle burned down. Half of Western Canada is like,
yeah, exactly.
On.
Of course, now we have the technology to fix it. Expedite fixing it. If everybody allows that, if we don't have 1,000 fucking protesters from various walks of wherever else saying we can't do this, we have the ability to do it. But like I said, they were certainly expected to be productive. I mean, everybody got up and they went to work and they did what they could to. I mean, and we are still building the country. But I can definitely agree that the next. So I mean, I just crossed your line of 30, right, being 34, and I can say you don't have to look very far behind me to start to see fucking appalling laziness.
Yeah.
And lack of respect, lack of understanding. It's really amazing to see. And I think kind of that's where some of this was born out, was trying to certainly target the younger male population to understand that there's pride in dressing up, and there's pride in work, and there's pride in higher morals. These aren't just things you can do; they're expectations that they're good.
You should do, right? You should do these things, and you'll be better for doing them. Like I remember my grandpa, my dad's side, he wore a suit every day of his life. Sheep farmer.
Mm-hmm.
He's out in the field chasing sheep. Shirt, tie, vest. Like it's tweed. Like it's meant for that. It's meant for it. But it's like show up, and I mean, regardless of what your venture is, show up and be professional about it.
Absolutely.
And put your heart and soul into it.
And make sure you're pursuing that. I mean, if that option isn't readily available, pursue it.
Yeah.
I mean, if it's not readily available, that doesn't mean fucking sweatpants and fucking Netflix, or sweatpants and Call of Duty, or Halo, or whatever the fuck the games are now.
We joked about that 2 weeks ago when we go to the old Scotch tasting. Who's going to be there in sweatpants, right?
We did, yeah.
I would hazard to say that we were probably the two best gentlemen there.
Well, we were photographed, for Christ's sakes.
Well, yeah, I mean, we're the poster children for next year, and I'll take that as a point of pride, not as a point of shitting on anybody else, but
both.
But
look, it was a night out.
But I mean, there's definitely a large group of the male population that they don't see the merit in it.
Zero,
right?
0%,
and it's unfortunate. So, what do we miss for comments here? Chad says, I think a lot of this generation would benefit from lectures like that. Might pay attention to the world around them. I spent a couple of days in the local schools talking to kids about something different entirely, but I don't know if they would. Because I mean, when you get an hour and a half with somebody, the impact is you have an impact during that moment, but does it stay with them? Yeah. Everybody's a creature of their environment, and we don't really have a lot of control over their environment, and it really comes down to that. Good times create soft men, and things are really, really good. Although they're declining, things are still actually significantly better than they were 40 years ago. Well, and that's it, right? When we look at things that we're short of, or that we can't get that day, I mean, they're unthought of luxuries 40 years ago. Yeah. And we're frustrated that they're not available right now. Yeah. They'll be here next week, but they're not available right now. That's where we're at. Well, I mean, I think 2007 would be a good example. 2007 was the year I first got onto Facebook. I bought a laptop. It was the dawn of the internet for me, because I never had the internet before. Got a laptop, got the internet, got Facebook, right? And then try to download a song off LimeWire. Yeah. Well, it's going to be 17 days to download this song. And your computer's going to be fucked afterwards because it's got so many viruses. So that was a waste of venture. And now you go on iTunes and you can have that thing downloaded in 30. Like the instant gratification piece. Technology, although beneficial, is doing really, really negative things to the human mind. Because the expectation is that everything is going to go boom, 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 boom. But I don't know who it was that mentioned it right off the get-go about, everything's going to crash. We're going to be back in the dark ages right off the get-go. But could you imagine if tomorrow the world stood still? If tomorrow just the internet, just everything else worked except the internet?
Yeah, it would be.
We'd be fucked.
We would be certainly a large group of the population would be in certain turmoil. I do believe a lot of us would function.
Wow.
I really do.
I remember how many times like Facebook crashes like twice a year, right? And it's unbelievable to see like what people do in that 3 hours or 4 hours that it's down.
It is amazing. But somebody asked me the other day. They said, "Oh, I'll friend you on Facebook or something." I said, "I don't actually have it, and I don't have a personal. That's sort of a lie. I had a personal profile because I wanted one for my business.
You needed that
right
to get to that. Yeah.
I have like 8 friends on there.
Yeah.
I don't ever fucking check it. What I do is I make posts on my business thing, and that's it. I don't.
But you need to have a personal.
I've never fucking hurled a sheep at anybody on Facebook.
That's the thing.
Well, I think it was when it was on The Big Bang Theory.
Oh,
Why somebody throw a sheep in something? Anyways,
missed that. Memo.
So I
Seems kind of cruel.
that's not and so like I graduated in 2006. So Facebook in high school, I had it then. I did, but I don't have it now. So when you talk about things going back the other way, some of the best fucking hours of my life are the ones where I realized I left my phone in the house.
Yeah.
And it's weird to say for me because I never ever considered myself of someone who needs their phone, but the business that I run now is very much I need my phone.
You need
I'm
stay connected.
I'm getting messages all the time.
Yeah.
Fucking 7 or 8 different ways from emails and Facebooks and all sorts of shit. But some of the best times are when I fucking forget.
Yeah.
Now I have a bunch of shit to do when I find it, but so we would find a lot of us would find a way. We would find a way. Heaven fucking forbid someone just phone you, right, instead of instant message or whatever. That would still happen.
That's when I was at the school the other day and I was explaining to the kids, like, we're talking like grade 4, right? So they know what an iPhone is. Some of them even have an iPhone or Samsung, some type of smartphone. And explaining to them that I remember when a phone was a phone.
Yeah.
That is all you could do on it. And games are made of cardboard or wood. Like, you didn't have it on, there was no digital version of a game. Like, you would have to play a board game. And it's just like, the eyes are just wide. Like, they're just mind blown. Like, how could you, like, you'd be bored out of your mind.
Well, you see those trends all the time, right? Where they're asking the next generation, "What is CD? What's a CD? What's a what are these? People? What's a fax machine? What are And I mean, for them to know really is dead technology. Yeah. We kind of had this just discussion with actually my brother-in-law. So we got our kids' lead pads or whatever because they ride around in the tractors a lot, and I didn't really see a problem with it. He was kind of dead set against it. Well, we never had that shit.
Well, a lead pad's a little bit different than an iPad.
Though. But one of the things I mentioned was, well, that's fair enough, but what the fuck is the point in teaching your kid how to run a fax machine in 2022?
Yeah.
I mean, you have to dispense with old technology because it's not going to help your kid going into school being expected to utilize an iPad properly if their skills are like, well, I know how to send a fax.
Yeah.
It's not going to fucking help. Is it right? Is it wrong? I don't know. It's reality though. It's the way we're there.
The government still sends everything via fax.
But this isn't so much a conspiracy, more of a thing. So and I asked my dad about this. And I want to hit this just before we close this live out. So I forget what it was. We did talk about this in the live stream, but because some of the research I did, I think it was something like we spent more time going from the Bronze Age to the Iron Age than we did from the fucking Iron Age to the tank or something.
Yeah.
And
Industrial Revolution, just right.
Well, I asked my old man about this, and it was funny to hear him say, because he's a very level-headed guy. Like he is a stand-up individual. I gotta say, my old man, he's a fucking top-shelf guy. And as far as this like free-thinking, far-out ideology, he's grounded. He's very grounded. And I asked him about this. He said, I believe something happened. They found something somewhere. Something happened that kicked this off.
Yeah.
Because we went so long with really minimal advancement, and then bang, we have fucking everything in front of us now. You look at this table. There's fucking computers and ring lights and phones and all sorts of shit.
World War II happened.
But I guess what I was did they find something, like something alien, something in that? What sparked the real technological advancement that happened from say even the 60s on? Because up until then, there was slow advancements in the automobile, and then exponentially things went. Now, we had the Model A, and you just said your wife's car has 7 fucking computers on it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we went 1,800 years. Well, we went 8,000 fucking years of nothing. And then in 40 years, we went from nothing to now my car has 7 computers.
7 computers, yeah.
Like, what was there a spark when the Transformers? Was there an all spark that we fucking found?
Oh, there's a movie you've watched.
What got it? And for him to say that, I was like, "Fuck that!" You're like, that's not you.
Yeah.
You're like a guy that's like, no, things just go the way they go.
I mean, there could be. There could be some strange discovery that occurred, but I honestly think it was World War II.
The movie Men in Black, the whole premise is they found alien technology.
Yeah.
I mean, was that a shadow? Was that a dog whistle too?
Do you think aliens exist?
I can't imagine that they don't. All you gotta do is look up at the fucking sky.
I can't imagine that they don't either. I mean, we live in the universe is so vast, it would be implausible to think there's not some other form of life out there. We have billions of galaxies that are similar to our own. That within them have numerous planets that are able to theoretically sustain life.
I don't know.
Are they capable of travel? I mean, there's the whole conversation around how did we build Stonehenge? How did we build the pyramids? How did the Inca and the Mayan civilizations, the Aztecs, right? How did they advance to where they were at?
We see lots, and what's to them or not? All their photos of proving time travel. Yeah. This guy has a phone bag in his pocket.
I think it's something as simple as a pump. It's just simply to move water. The Romans were masters of moving water, right? That's really what advanced their civilization, was their ability to engineer things. And moving water was one thing they were really, really good at. Clean drinking water made for good societies, good civilization. After the fall of the Roman Empire, it was 1,500 years that the simple ram pump with 2 ball checks, basically moving back and forward to move water, was completely lost. Went to the dark ages. If we lost the internet tomorrow, all of that material is on the internet now. Post 1990 to now, they've been uploading all that data digitally. Right, the sum total of human knowledge sits within the internet. Sure, there's libraries, but I mean, honestly, if you look at all the libraries, there's maybe a 40, 50-year lifespan for those libraries. If it would take nothing, it would be a flash in time for those libraries to be destroyed, for that information to be lost, and all the digital stuff is gone, and we'd be right back in the dark ages.
Very possible,
right? And then 2,000 years from now, somebody would be saying, "Well, how is it they built skyscrapers without alien intervention?"
I suppose.
I suppose. So maybe there was something in past history, at the turn of the millennia, at the first millennia, maybe there was something, but it's been lost.
Who knows?
Who knows? Right?
Who knows?
Maybe they lost the chisel and they stopped forgetting. They forgot how to write on the marble. That's what it came down to, right? It was the Visigoths and the Goths. They invaded Rome.
I gotta check out here.
They took over. We need code word. Last live stream, I took a piss, and
I gotta check out.
Yeah, that's the one thing with 3-hour live streams, is it gets a little bit tough. We're 2 hours and 49 minutes here, but yeah, the fall of Rome. That was exactly what happened there. As the Goths came in, they were largely illiterate people. Everything was word of mouth. and then suddenly they take over Rome, and there's nobody there to tell the story. There's nobody there to teach the history. There's nobody there to share the lesson, and everything goes sideways. So we missed a few comments here. Chad says, Chad, yeah, you're awesome for comments. Appreciate that. Lots of feedback. Man, there'd be suicides all over the internet. Disappearing would be crazy. I'll watch YouTube, but I don't get any other platforms. Fuck it, don't need to fill my days up with that crap. Yeah, you know what? When we moved out to the farm, we got a smart TV, we got internet, so we pretty much have YouTube, Netflix. I think the wife has an Amazon thing that she steals from her brother, but we don't have any like news media or anything like that. We don't spend really any time on the TV. Every once in a while, maybe once a month, we'll try and watch a movie or something like that. But if I'm on YouTube, I'm probably trying to learn something, right? So, Chad says best times are card times with friends and family, dances, or even coffee at UFA. Yeah, I'm all about sitting down and having coffee, maybe have a whiskey, whatever. But cards, we never had. I don't know about you, but we never had cards in our household. Cards are one thing we never really played. So
we had lots of cards.
Kind of interesting. You go to family dinner or whatever out Rio Grande with the in-laws. Everybody's like, oh, let's play Screw Your Neighbor or some other random game. I don't know, gin rummy or something like that.
Must be a cowboy thing.
I'm like, oh fuck, you got to tell me the rules. Like I know the rules are really simple, and they tell me every single year, and I'm like, it goes in one ear and out the other because we never had cards as a kid, so it's not ingrained into me. Cards with the devil.
That was the devil's.
That was the devil.
Devil's.
Yeah, I don't gamble. I don't do any of that. I got no bad habits like that. Whiskey and cigars.
Whiskey and cigars. Just a library of scotch.
Yeah.
No, we don't. No, we were definitely we had games and games and cards and stuff. So.
And if he says, I think it's more recent than World War II. Think of a pickup truck from 1992 to now, only 30 years. Like Robin said, the vehicles didn't change that much till the last 30 to 35 years. Yeah, when I say World War II, I mean, so post-World War II, all of the efforts, all of the international efforts went to rebuilding not only the infrastructure, but to advancing technology. And that wasn't necessarily warfare-based, but you think of a company like Samsung, right? Samsung, the CEO of Samsung, his mission personally was to make Japan known globally for the world's best technology. Not Samsung, best known for technology, but Japan, right? So again, there was that civic duty piece of it.
Yeah.
Right. And I think that's what a lot of countries did, is that they just it's exponential growth, right? It's like a force multiplier, almost like a torque wrench, right? So
yeah.
You start getting the smartest people in the room, and you build a thing, and then you get everybody that's really, really good with using that technology, and then you get the smartest people in the room again to build something 10 times better. And before you know it, like, I don't know how a CD is made. I don't even know how a goddamn 8-track was made.
Yeah, I know.
And that's dead technology. So it's really, really plausible to believe that like anything could happen at any moment. And yeah, sure, I could grow my potatoes and I could, raise lamb, and I would get by, and we'd be just fine. But technology-wise, creature comfort-wise, I'd be back to chopping firewood to stay warm.
Yeah. Well, it's funny you talk about that exponential growth, because and it doesn't matter where people sit on this with the COVID vaccine. It's just, this is the vaccine premise in general. There was that huge argument of, well, it took so long to do polio. It took so long to do, right? And I asked the one guy, I said, well, if ever in history we were able to create a vaccine quickly, shouldn't it be today?
Yeah. Well,
because when we were working by candlelight to figure something out, and we had to load that fucking, what you wrote down, however legible you could write, and put it on the fucking Western Union, and waited 8 weeks for it to go to your colleague, and then come back, right? Yeah. So, like I say, it doesn't matter where you are. I don't. That's just the purpose of this fucking segue here isn't to talk about where you stand on vaccines. It's, if ever in history we were able to make a technological advancement quickly, should it not be today?
It should be
The day we are in right now.
It should be now.
Because we have instant communication. I mean, look what we're doing right now. Fucking within 5 minutes, this is from wherever anyone in the world is tuning in.
We're talking to a guy in Oregon. We're talking to guys in
So it should be now. And he was, and they were like, well, yeah, I guess, but, and then it was, it's always back to the but. And I get that. I mean, you could be skeptical or not, whatever, doesn't matter. However, the argument to say, because we made a vaccine 75 years ago and it took us a year and a half to make that vaccine, it should take us a year and a half to make it now. I don't think so. I would be embarrassed if it took a year and a half now. We should be able to make it exponentially faster. Yeah. And so, I mean, that could very well be what happened. Right? The invention of power led to invention of the microchip, into computing, and then as soon as we got to computing software, it was, now it's instant.
Well, if you look at the videos from like when they sent 1969, when they sent the guys to the moon, right? Those giant computers that filled an entire room.
I was just going to bring that up. I've been to Houston, Texas, and I've been to Cape Canaveral, and I've stood in both of those rooms.
With those original computers, would fit inside here.
The lady, she said, all the consoles that you're looking at on the command center, those are the screens for the computers. The building behind you, that's 18 fucking stories high, is the computer. Yeah. And the computing power was less than what's in your iPhone.
Yeah.
Crazy. Like they said when they were planning things, and I was gobsmacked by this. They said the way they came to a consensus that they were right is they had 3 people do the equation, and then if 2 got it right, that was it. Yeah. The 3rd guy got it wrong. Fucking didn't matter. It was what those 2 said.
The way it goes.
Right? Yeah. That's how they solved mathematical problems. And now we just fucking hammer it down into an iPad, and it's instant, right? So I mean, and I guess there's those 2 theories. Either they found something that kicked this off, or we reached that point of, it's the penny thing. Would you rather take what's fucking $1 million today, or a penny that doubles every day for 30 days?
Take a penny that doubles every day,
right? So I mean, at some point you go, 1 to 2, but then you go from 800,000 to 1.6 million to 3.2 million, right? And so I guess that could be just how we worked. But for my dad to say, to think they found something, to me was shocking.
Yeah,
because he's not a Star Trek, Star Wars, fucking, reading books that are, just kind of out there.
Sure.
He's just like a real level. And he said, no, I think they must have found something.
Yeah.
Because it was just nothing. And then.
But if you look at like alien life, where is it? Like, where in the world would you discover stories about alien life?
What do you mean?
I mean, if you go to the U.S. and you go to maybe South America, that is pretty much the global extent of all UFO sightings. The majority of them all occur there.
Okay.
And like, if you look at the majority of them that occur there, like 85% of them are in the trailer park. Like,
okay.
I don't want to stereotype anybody, but
I guess I never looked into, do they see them in China? Do they see them in South Africa?
There's like folklore about things that have occurred historically that were unexplainable. But at the time that occurred, they couldn't equate it to any kind of extraterrestrial technology.
But you're saying anybody that's ever been beamed up and anal probed is from Elk City, Oklahoma.
Anal probes is like you got to be a U.S. citizen to have that privilege. Like,
well, that's fair enough. I never thought of that.
I don't know if you get a stamp on your passport or what you get, but you get a coupon to Applebee's or something. But you don't see that anywhere else in the world. Like, it's literally nowhere else.
Interesting.
So I don't know. I'm not saying it's not a thing, but like, there's of course influence like through Peru and throughout South America and things like that. There's tales of the gods, right? The gods that oversaw the building of the pyramid. They worshipped the gods, and that was because of an extraterrestrial influence. But if you go to a remote island right now that's never seen human beings, they will worship you as a god, and you will be probably the smartest person in the room. And then those fuckers will eat you. and they'll paint your shit on a fucking cave somewhere. And 1,000 years from now, they'll say, "Oh yeah, no, there must have been aliens here." Well, no, it was just somebody from somewhere else, right?
Just somebody whose boat motor failed.
Probably
They drifted in here.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't know. I'm not a big believer in the external forces,
In the Allspark.
but I am a big believer in the fact that there's an event or an occurrence where we've reached peak civilization, and something happens, whether it's war or something else, death of a monarchy, that sets them back.
So that's the premise of no civilization lasts 240 years, right? You've seen that come out lately.
Sure.
Because the United States is either just crouching in on that or hit that.
Yeah.
Which is now the fall.
Yeah.
My mom's one. She's a big book learner. Jesus Christ, she reads books, but dumb books like. And she said everything she's read has always come, like whatever she's read in her interesting books has always happened.
Yeah.
They said it will happen, and it does happen. And it's one thing she said: no civilization lasts 240 years without.
Yeah, the U.S. is ready to be unfolded. So is Canada, for sure.
Well, we're the poor second cousin. No matter how anybody looks at the situation.
I don't know if I agree with no civilization's ever lasted 240 years.
Maybe it's modern civilization,
right? Like if you look at the British Empire, if you look at the Mongol Empire, look at the Roman Empire. A lot of them lasted almost a millennia. Right?
But that is a big thing that's been coming out in the last few months.
The Sumerian Empire, like you go back as far as like Sumer, like they're literally they existed for a millennia and a half, and they became a thing of legend. But I think in modern society, if you're going to grow so fast, you're going to grow beyond your sustainability, and it's reasonable to think that you collapse as quick as you're a flash in the pan, right? So if you're going to do this, then you're going to do this, right?
That's fair enough.
I think that's reasonable to think, but
yeah.
I don't know. What else we got? 5G. Is 5G changing DNA?
My thing again with all these is to what end. So when I was told a lot of this stuff, it's so that and fuck the weird thing about Hollywood. So the Golden Circle, what's that? The Kingsman.
Yeah.
When they can download the fucking app, and then we'll turn it on. We'll put it to a frequency where you fucking kill everybody.
Yeah.
Why? Is the conspiracy born out of Hollywood, or is Hollywood feasting on the conspiracy? So that's saying that's based on the fact that 5G can turn you on and off. Because that's what I was told.
Yeah.
It can just
it
can control you, turn you on.
They can control your mind. Yeah, that is one aspect of the 5G conspiracy.
So how the fuck did we make the movie, which basically showed that this was going to happen or was possible, right? In Hollywood's eyes, this is a good idea. We can probably do this. We'll download an app, you get free roaming.
Yeah,
and next thing you know, you're murdering your fucking family.
What was that? What was that movie? The Zoolander. Derek Zoolander.
That's yeah.
They were
the relax song.
Yeah, exactly. They were going to kill a Malaysian president or something like that with mind control. Yeah. I don't know. To me, it's a different frequency. It's basically the same technology as 3G, 4G. I have a tough time believing that. I really do. There was a lot of conversation around mind control. There was a lot of conversation around did it cause the coronavirus because they just installed 5G towers in Wuhan, and then all of a sudden the coronavirus kicked off. I think that was very, very timely and convenient, but it's just nonsense. To me, I even had guys through my line of work. I even got guys like, well, can you come and measure the radiation? Because they just come and put a tower up.
Okay.
And I have a meter, right? So I go and measure it. Yeah, it's just fucking normal background shit. Like it's, there's not like mind control beams just coming down from this tower, but same thing. I mean, even if it was legit, like for mind control, I'm sure they would switch it on and switch it off. Like it wouldn't be an all-time thing, right? So
And that's, I guess that's where my trouble with a lot of these conspiracy theory topics and bullet points is to what end. Like,
yeah, well,
and my biggest thing is, oh, they've been at this for 40 years, 60 years, 70 years, 80 years. I don't know what the fuck I'm doing tomorrow. Now, I mean, I'm not the leader of a secret society that's installing 5G across the fucking planet, but I don't understand why. I guess for me, it would be hard to understand why someone would dedicate their whole entire life to see something progress and then not even live to see it.
yeah,
Like the goalpost is continually moved with conspiracy theorists.
For
It's
sure it
fucking
is, yeah.
continually moved. I'm not saying they're wrong. I'm not discrediting anything. What I'm saying is what I see, and it's continually fucking moved. So how can you be like, well, you know, this has been a plan for 100 years? How do you fucking doubt that guy 100? You give a fuck?
He couldn't even comprehend what was about to happen.
I really doubt he give a shit.
Yeah.
So
That guy 100 years ago didn't know how a CD was made. So, so yeah, no, I don't think 5G is a thing to we're changing DNA or mind controlling, or that's how we drink the children's blood, or it's all that's pretty far
What
out.
you had said about the the UFO sightings, where you see the people making the loudest noise about 5G. I mean,
those are the people that you can't convince otherwise.
well, but just unfortunately, they seem to be the most ridiculous people.
Yeah.
And you're like, well,
Yeah.
fuck, I don't know what's here. I have a bottle for you in a couple of weeks. Oh yeah, Brian actually, yeah, he's a distiller.
Their end game, I still believe they're wanting a 1 liter world and a digital traceable ID. Well, let's go back to World War II. That's a legitimate thing. The League of Nations, that was actually a thing. That's been a thing for many, many decades. So, traceable ID.
Yeah.
That's,
well, if I gotta, fucking gotta bring the old man up again. So he went to he went to China on a fucking 3-week thing expedition just before COVID. Now everybody that comes to the farm when my dad's there and it comes up, they always gotta ask him, like he said, you cannot imagine handling that volume of people without cashless and basically paperless. He said it was totally fucking amazing. And I have a lot of respect for my dad.
Yeah.
And I cannot see around what he says. You go to the Dawson Creek fucking rodeo, they got to put 80 people an hour through that cocksucker.
Yeah.
You're going to stand there for fucking an hour.
Yeah.
And wait to count out $45.
Boom, 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 boom.
He said when they got on that bullet train, he said they moved fucking 750,000 people through there in 20 fucking minutes.
Yeah. Like it's real.
He
efficient.
said this is evolution. This is the way it goes. Everything was done on their phone, from all their stamps to their cash to their everything.
Yeah.
And I thought he said, fuck, they're light years ahead of what the fucking West wants us to think.
Oh,
he said they went all the fuck over. He said we took 3 or 4 inland flights. We rode the bullet train for 800 miles up, 800 miles back. Rode a river cruise for 700 miles up, 700 miles back.
Yeah.
Fuck, they went all over. He said we didn't see anything like they tell us. He said maybe they didn't show us. He admitted that.
Yeah.
Maybe maybe they didn't show us the bad stuff. But why would the fuck would you show it to us that anyways?
Why would you?
But he said what he saw. He said fuck. He woke up one night. He said they were washing the fucking streets.
Yeah.
Pollution. He said fuck, the harbor was clean. They went on a harbor cruise. He said there was fucking robots driving around picking up the garbage.
Yeah.
Not at all like what we were told. And he said the ID and the cashless, he said that's has to happen. Well, if you want to move people the way we want to move people, you can't wait for somebody to count out fucking change.
No, you can't.
There's no way.
To think that governments want it that's one side of things, but that already exists. Like you say, it already exists within society. It's just a matter of integrating it into the remainder of the world, right? And for as advanced as we think the West is, we're not.
No, sir.
The Western civilization really wasn't born until post Dark Age, but medieval ages, right? If you look at the early Middle Ages, probably around 800-900 AD, that's when civilization started to creep. But we were barbarians before that in Western civilization. Prior to that, I mean, we had, if you look at the Eastern cultures, they go back thousands of years beyond what we go. Like, their advancement is so far beyond. I mean, we shit on them all the time, Western culture, right? And not from a racist perspective necessarily, but there's always that. Oh,
it's for pride's sake. It's a pride.
Yeah, sure, yeah. You know, all those guys they're in the backwoods or whatever. But no, they're light years ahead of us in many, many ways. And
unfortunately, I think
their cultures far exceed ours. Right? We're I mean, especially in North America, we're nothing but virgins here.
Very true.
You know, like if I think because growing up in England, I look at the age there, and I come here and I look at this is new. This is not even a blip on the archaeological record.
No,
right? If tomorrow the world collapsed and everything was decimated, and 2,000 years from now we had to dig it all up, this would be a line. This would be a line about this thick in the sand. It'd be nothing. And you go back to ancient Egypt, you go back to China, you go back to the Middle East. Those are real cultures that existed for thousands of years. You know, or since 1635 when Quebec was founded by Samuel de Champlain, it's nothing. It's a blip, right?
Yeah.
So, what do we miss on TikTok? It all comes down to control, money, and greed, aka World Economic Forum. Well, we kind of talked about the crickets already, so that might be a thing. All I don't like about all that money, digital can be paused, cash can't be. Well, we mentioned that earlier. I mean, cash is worth what cash is, whatever it's, cash is worth whatever the government tells you it's worth. And even if tomorrow I went to the bank and I said, give me all my money. I took it all out and I had a big stack of paper and I said, okay, well, fuck, this isn't, I can't eat this. So I go down to the exchange and I say, give me all of this in gold. Well, fuck, I can't eat this.
Yeah.
So where's the value?
Well, and that's the thing, and like hard commodities as to legal tender. You got to put your money in gold, right? Gold's always been, and things say, well, it could buy you a suit, right? Yeah. So in ancient Egypt, gold could buy you a toga, right? That same value. Now it can buy you a suit. Yeah. You know what? It can only buy you a fucking suit if they tell you the suit is worth that.
If they tell you the suit is worth that.
So because I've had this argument with people too. Well, you can't be in the stock market, you can't be in the bank, you can't be in, And I said, it fucking at this point in history, it doesn't matter anymore.
Yeah.
Because there's no safe place now.
Well,
if they tell you a fucking Bitcoin is worth this, and gold is worth that, and silver is worth that, and cash is worth this, and grain's worth that, but fucking a car is worth $1 million fucking dollars. Or clothes or food, none of it fucking really matters.
To me, it's land. Like, if I can't feed myself from gold. I can't feed myself from a pile of money. But if I have a piece of land, I can feed myself. That land can sustain me. It can sustain my family. The problem I have with Canada is it's dominion, right? Like it's still a crown Commonwealth nation. So, and I don't know how many people know this, but in Canada, you don't actually own land. You buy land, you have a deed to that land, but you don't own the land. The crown owns the land. The deed allows you to have occupancy of the land, right? At any given time, the government of Canada or the Crown Corporation can come and say, this is our land now, right? So land in a place where a deed means actual ownership, that's value.
Mm-hmm.
That's something that's tangible, that cannot be taken away, seized by the government. That's value. That's why I always say I'm a threat to the government because I grow my potatoes.
Well, and
they can't take that away from me.
That's a very good point because, I mean, once you crawl down all of the what ifs, what if, well, at the end of the day, what if a fucking man with a bigger stick comes and tells you don't own this fucking thing?
Yeah, well, yeah.
And generally, the government has a bigger stick. And at that point, And that's one thing too. Why I see a lot of division of, and rightfully so, I guess, from the left to the right to the Freedom Convoy to everything else, standing up to this, and it all goes back to that whole thing. Is at the end of it, if there's nobody left to stand for you, right? I mean, then it's all done. So there has to be checks and balances along the way.
Mm-hmm.
So certainly people have to be questioning things, right? Because I get that a lot too, right? Well, what if they come and took your land? Well, I would hope before that came, there was enough people that said this isn't gonna fly. Because the day they come, I guess I'm gonna step the fuck aside.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm really not sure what I can do about it.
Having come from England, I know the history very, very well about serfdom and peasantry, and I mean, people that were small landowners and people that were business owners were still classed as peasants. And today we have this illusion of freedom and self sovereignty, but really we don't. There's still always a stick hanging over our head in the form of government. We have, the Statute of Westminster in Canada, which allows us to elect a government. But I mean, really, we're electing a ruler. We're electing somebody to dominate over. We're choosing who's going to dominate us. Essentially, is what the election does. We can joke and fool ourselves and be ridiculous about the theory that maybe these people are going to represent us, but they never have, and they never will.
No.
Right. So I missed a few comments there. So the fact the Queen owns the land of Canada is a joke. Well, the Queen doesn't own it anymore because, I mean,
she's several feet under. I don't think she even went 6 feet or deeper.
Heard the news, but sorry about your loss. But well, Charlie Boy's got her now, and I mean, he was pissed off in the first 5 minutes because somebody put the fucking pens over.
I know.
Here.
Could you imagine the audacity of somebody not moving his fucking $8,000 pen out of the
Right.
way, or his pen holder?
Yeah. So that's a sign of things to come. And having grown up in the UK, I've always been a close student of British politics, and I thought Boris Johnson was a complete buffoon. Like, I mean, it was a clown, but like, it couldn't possibly get more comedically impossible than watching Boris Johnson try to negotiate his way through the British politics. But then, like, he's done, and now they elected somebody called Liz Truss.
I seen her,
and she is awkward as fuck. Like,
you're not a fan.
I'm not a fan. Like, no, like.
Well, who the fuck is a fan of any of them anymore?
No, like, and that's why I kind of back to the whole 9/11 thing. I think that's exactly what's happening in Europe right now. Is they're just electing these complete buffoons. And I don't know if it's a public desire to just watch chaos unfold.
It could be the old car crash situation.
Well, like I just can't look away. Like, it's gonna be fucking terrible, but it's gonna be amazing to watch at the same time. Or if there are, nefarious forces working in behind the scenes to kind of provide overarching control and blame it on these morons, I guess, the scapegoats that you put out front. I'm not sure what it is, but you can't tell me Liz Truss, well, even Boris Johnson, you can't tell me anybody would look at that guy with his fucking hair 6 ways from Sunday. Like, he looks like he slept in a ditch. Who votes for that guy?
Well, I was going to bring that up. When you can't even run a comb across your fucking head before you go and stand up to the world representing, arguably a fucking superpower. And, I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't think you got it.
A mockery of the entire thing, right? So, and then, you look at Sleepy Joe there, who can't even remember if he's his wife's husband or if his wife is his husband, or like how that works.
Repeat the line.
Right? Repeat the line, yeah. Like, just Ron Burgundy, but 80 years old.
I mean, I do it myself here too, but the fucking ums we get out of our fucking idiot stick. I mean, I'm just some guy on fucking TikTok and YouTube right now.
But the socks, though.
But when you have your leader stand up and say 47,000 fucking times in a pre-written speech,
Yeah, when you're literally paying somebody
Fuck.
150 grand a year
You know.
to write a speech for you,
Why put so many ums in
and
there?
you're back
Like the
filling
fucking
with
king of
ums and ahs.
umbrage.
Yeah.
I don't
Forgot
care.
your
I don't
lines.
fucking get that.
No. Drink
So-
Bob's water bottle. Drink
So,
Bob's
I mean
water
that
bottle.
could be the biggest one of all. Is that whole the BlackRock and this other thing, because once you go down these roads that we've been down this evening,
Yeah.
the Rockefellers and the Rothschilds and blah blah blah, and then you're going to hit a point where it's going to say, and now here's the eye opener: is those people are the pawns, and there's in fact like fucking 3 families that we don't even know their fucking names. They control. Fuck, maybe
The Rockefellers, the Rothschilds, and who's the other one? There's another one out there. Yeah.
But yeah, they we think these people that have limitless power, limitless funds, limitless reach, and then we're told yet again on the internet that, hey, those people are even pawns.
Yeah.
There's even a fucking
Yeah.
right, and even a darker
If you think you're
shadow
not,
cast.
you're not running anything. Yeah.
Yeah,
Everything's just a curtain, right? It's just an illusion.
And then you look into and you look at things as a whole, and you think, well, fuck, maybe.
Yeah.
And then, but no, that's no. I will say that by the end of this, there's no way to fucking live. I mean, you imagine spending your lifetime, and now you're 78 years old, and you're crippled and you're crippled from old age, and you've spent 78 years down that rabbit hole, moving goalposts weekly, monthly, yearly, and now you're 78, thinking it's still to come.
Yeah.
So
there's a better way, right?
We have to do the best we can do with the information we have at the time. Surround ourselves with good people, make good decisions, maybe limit our exposure to foreign isn't the word, but say different
External influence.
external influences, I suppose.
Yeah.
And you go on, live it, but not living in fear. Fear of, well, maybe the fucking plane is dropping shit, or maybe the radio tower's fucking things up, or maybe this fog that's smoke from Hudson Hope actually isn't. Maybe it's fog from
Agent Orange.
fucking Rockefellers, or you can't. I really don't think at the end of the day living behind thinking that every loaf of bread is 110% cricket. It's probably going to do you more harm, right? It's certainly going to do you more harm in your relationship with your spouse, with your family, with your friends, with your immediate circle.
Yeah.
Of course, unless you've started your own secret society where you gather and
maybe that's
do
what
these,
that's what we need to do.
And do these things. But
do secret society live streams. We'll get some symbols. He already had some.
We got a symbol.
Shit you were doing there.
I think that. Well, no, we got a symbol. It's that's a baller symbol. That should be on everything. Should be on license plates.
Chad says, I say the Freemasons control everything. How else could you explain Trudeau or Boris? Yeah, no, I think they're definitely pawns. For sure, they're pawns. Although it is ironic that Trudeau managed to undo as much as he was able to undo. Like the apple didn't fall far from the tree there. Without trying to get too political, like he definitely outdid his predecessor.
Yeah, he's an individual.
Yeah, I don't know if you want to touch that one. Yeah, we'll get canceled off of YouTube and TikTok.
Well, it's just I mean, the fucking first video that I took, first and only video I've taken down on TikTok. I said I don't want to be fucking divisive. I don't want to be a provocateur. I mean, you should be able to have reasonable conversation, even on. I mean, we even hit on abortion 3 or 4 live streams ago. From what I understand, you and I can't have an opinion on because we're white.
Oh no, I can have an opinion.
So
on that.
we're not going to.
If I say today, and I've had, this is my 3rd whiskey, 4th whiskey. I don't know. I've had enough whiskey now that I'm allowed to say that I identify as a woman, and therefore I can have an opinion.
You can have an opinion this evening. Good on you. I don't identify as that yet.
I'm saying certainly not if I did. I'm saying I could.
Okay, fair enough.
Which that's a whole nother We better not do a live stream on that one. We will be canceled.
Well,
for
maybe
sure.
if the snow doesn't fly in the next couple of weeks, we might have to.
Do you think it's gonna? I mean,
I think it'll be. I think we'll see white
if we
Halloween.
get any more chemtrails coming over top of us, it's probably going to stay quite mild until mid-November.
I think we'll see a white Halloween. I really do.
You think so?
Yeah, I think it's going to come in hard.
You've read the long range forecast.
Fucking hard. No, I got my sunflowers. I got a combine yet, so I look at the
Yeah.
fucking day every day. It's beautiful, nice weather coming.
Huh.
There's one.
I heard there was only a week left, and then it was going to get kind of cold and shitty. Well, not cold and shitty, but like just.
Well, I just
shitty.
look for that for like precipitation. Right?
When everybody says seasonal, I think shitty.
Well, fair enough. But no, I got to. So I was watching. I think around Wednesday next week. I'll try to tackle my.
So what does that look like? How do you harvest the sunflower?
Well, I made a round in them with the old combine, but they were
Like you don't
wet.
straight cut.
Oh yeah, well,
You do
yeah.
straight cut. Yeah.
We straight cut them
And
fucking
they're
low
moist.
to the ground too. We cut the whole stalk and everything.
Making sunflower straw.
Making silage, yeah. No,
Yeah.
we
Feed that to pigs.
but they were very wet, very moist, 30% moisture. So that's
and where are they going to get to?
Well, I think around 12 or something.
Put them in the grain dryer or what?
Well, I was gonna put them in a grain dryer, but the problem with a fucking batch dryer is it has to circulate, it has to flow around. They wouldn't even go to the combine. I had to get in there and poke them down with a fucking stick.
Oh.
Because it's such a light seed, it's like 26 pounds per bushel. Whereas even oats, that's the lightest cereal, weighs 34 pounds per bushel.
Yeah.
So and then wheat weighs 60. So this shit has some weight and flows. While sunflower seed, especially if it's wet, doesn't flow. Just fucking packs in there. So
See, I've seen videos of guys in like, I don't know, somewhere on the other side of the world where they like go in there with a machete and they like literally cut it off. And they cut the stalk down at a 45-degree angle and they stab it on there and they just let it cure in the sun. And then they must go in and harvest them somehow.
yeah, well,
Beat
I
them
mean,
with a
I'm
stick or whatever.
not gonna fucking do that.
You know, you
Like
don't have
this-
that many.
There's no way that I have a legion of fucking individuals with machetes behind me willing
I own
to
a machete. I could lend it to you.
tackle this. It's not gonna happen.
No.
So it's gonna be straight cut or bust. And if that don't get her, it'll be the disc, the big blue eraser,
Huh.
and it'll be ready for next year.
You would
Put corn there or something.
You wouldn't swath it or feed it to your pigs or.
No, I would. I would fence it.
You have
I'd
pigs
fucking-
right now, or no?
Yeah,
They're
there's
about-
no pigs are there.
I think
Everything's
they
still
would
there.
do amazing on that stuff because it's just like
We pick sunflowers every day and take them to the pigs. They love them. And if it was fenced, it's not fenced, but if I can't get them, then yeah, my plan is I'll electric fence it. And I'll put
Yeah.
the cows and the pigs and the chickens shit on there. I'm sure the pigs probably go fucking nuts on
Yeah,
there.
they probably would.
They
There's
probably fly through the bushland and they eat all fucking day and then
Just
fly back to the coop at night.
giant oily shits everywhere all over your
Probably.
yard, but
Well, I mean, yeah, that's over there, so it's good enough, right? That's what we
Right in front
that's
of
what we
your
signed
house.
up to. So right in front.
Hmm.
Front. Absolutely.
fun. I think this might be the longest one ever. 3:27.
We did well.
Yeah,
It's
hours.
been good. We had a pretty good response on TikTok earlier. It's died off in the last hour or so, and here, yeah, left back to 4. So we were up
It's
to
11:30, so I don't know what that works out to be like Eastern time, but most folks are in bed.
yeah. I would expect yeah.
Yeah,
And the
we're
well,
catching
we
people.
don't expect anybody to stick it out the
Catching
whole time
people in
anyways.
Hawaii
but-
now. So.
We have no freedom. Once government was set in place, people limited themselves.
Well, yeah, that's. I mean, you got to think about what government actually means. I guess government means you're there to be governed, right? So not represented.
No, that's very true.
So
Seems to be more truer now, more than certainly ever in my lifetime. But
Yeah.
my lifetime is very short. So
Yeah.
Well, that's good. Time
well,
to shut her down.
what do you think of the whiskey? Was it
Whiskey
good?
was good. It was
I
really
liked
good. It was
Yeah.
really good.
It is
I
a
don't-
short finish.
I don't like I said earlier, the 140 price point. Yeah, I mean that's probably $20-$30 too much as
Yeah.
opposed to other whiskeys we've had around the $80 to $100 mark. But it is a really good whiskey.
Yeah, I'd be happy to pay
It's-
$80, $75, $80 for that.
It would be in the top of one of the easiest ones to drink.
Yeah.
You
Oh,
know,
yeah.
You know,
Doesn't
once you
I mean,
get past the first 2 or 3 sips,
if you're not careful and you just go at it, then yeah, it's gonna burn your ass. But
cigar was good.
it got it got tighter as you went. That's abnormal. There's a few cigars we've had that have done that, but good consistent flavor throughout.
You know, all in all, it was
You know, never got bitter or too peppery or anything like that.
those and however, I mean, wrap was good. I noticed like when we first did our cigars, I mean, mine would always come apart, and then you had a couple that came apart. That was a pretty
even with multiple cuts, mine still stayed together. So
pretty
That was good.
well built cigar for sure.
Fred says it's past the TikTok generation's bedtime. Yeah, it could be.
Very, very possible.
Could be. They got to get up early and pretend to be fucking cats and dogs or whatever the kids are doing these days.
Oh my god! Well, they have their Nintendo lives and stuff. Where they play games all day and watch each other play games. That's a fucking
playing Fortnite.
That's an amazing thing that I think that confuses me the most about social media is what people will watch.
Yeah.
So, I mean, by no means did I expect anybody to sit through 3 hours of this.
No.
However, people will sit through 4 fucking hours
watching
of
a video
Nintendo.
Game. Yeah, narrated video game.
Well, and some of these fucking people, they don't even narrate it. They just play.
They just play it.
They're not watching the comments coming up because they're focused on the game.
Sure.
So, you could be asking them something and you're like, oh, what are you doing? And they're not watching any of this. This is just financial fucking support of the fucking 3,600 people watching for 4 hours.
Helping them pay the power bill to keep playing video games.
It's truly astonishing.
Huh.
Fuck yeah. Parents, do better. Fuck. I mean, instead of sending your kid to the room with their iPad for 4 fucking hours for them to watch someone else play Nintendo, fucking do better. Go kick the fucking ball around,
Give them a
please.
shovel, make them go shovel shit.
Fuck heaven forbid, go
Give them some work.
go out with them and fucking kick the ball around, throw the ball around, do something.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, be present.
pretty
with your
fucking
kids,
sad.
right?
I know I'm very blessed and fortunate to have that, right? I mean, I was born into a family farm that is big enough that I can stay home. But this lack of parenting is certainly big in the 34-year-old generation, my generation. I see a lot of people I know, then they're, well, I just wish they'd go downstairs. That sucks.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Give them something to do downstairs other than play on iPads.
But I guess that being said, it's probably time to shut her down here. Thanks everybody for sticking it out.
Thanks for watching. Appreciate it.
See you all in the next one.